Moon King trembles at a single name, and the giant kings retreat in terror. Princess Zaijiang screams for retreat, but the demon has already returned with a warrior alliance. Drop a like and subscribe before the next tribulation hits. Moon King trembled as he spoke. As soon as the name was mentioned, the giant kings behind him immediately became agitated. Especially the remaining one-star giant kings, this name was like a curse, making them tremble all over and retreat in fear. Princess Zaijiang was among them. Her eyes widened, her voice quivering as she said, "That demon! He's back again, and he brought a formidable warrior alliance with him." Without any hesitation, Princess Zaijiang urgently commanded, "Ancient giants, listen to my order. Retreat." Immediately, Blood Moon King inhaled sharply. With such a large force of powerful warriors joining, their giant kings would be slaughtered one-sidedly. He wisely chose to run away first, on the human clan's side. The Master of Star Mountain was the first to clearly see Jiang Fan's face, her pretty eyes slightly contracting. "Jiang Fan? Why is it you?" Looking at the crown on Jiang Fan's head and the beam of light above him that reached into the sky. Then looking at the fierce tiger at Jiang Fan's feet, exuding the aura of the heavenly human 5 declines. For a moment, she felt a little dazed. Originally thought it was a bandit, turned out to be their Central Earth's Jiang Fan. Red Sleeves stepped forward, face full of surprise. "The ancient hunt hasn't ended yet, has it?" Jiang Fan nodded lightly. "Because of some unexpected events, I temporarily returned to Central Earth." Unexpected events. Red Sleeves' gaze went past him, falling on the many powerful individuals coming up behind him. Among them, the young man with an imperial aura, the fiercely demonically charged individuals of the demon race, the holy breath of the angel clan, all gave her a strong sense of oppression. She said warily, "Are these people unexpected guests to Central Earth as well?" Jiang Fan, with a calm demeanor, introduced. "No need to be nervous, these are all friends I made during the ancient hunt. They willingly came to Central Earth to fight the enemy with me." The human clan's powerful warriors were energized. "With this alliance, how could we not win this battle? Indeed, capable people are capable anywhere. Starfire Venerable is formidable in Central Earth, even more so during the ancient hunt. So many other worldly powerhouses willingly followed Starfire Venerable to Central Earth. He must be very likable." Red Sleeves skeptically looked at those people. "Friends, none of them look at you without murderous intent." Jiang Fan said, "That's just their nature, the strongest prodigies from various realms. It's normal to have quirky personalities. All right, these trivial matters aren't important. Let's quickly annihilate these ancient giants and end the war." The great venerates snapped out of it, all invigorated, immediately gathering the Central Earth army to chase them down. Jiang Fan also waved to the ancient hunt army behind him. "Brothers, kill." Jiang Yishan ground his teeth. "He's taking all the glory himself. Are we just pack horses?" Despite complaining, he decisively chased after them. The powerful individuals from various realms also eagerly took action, because they were pleasantly surprised to find that Central Earth's war was almost over. Once the remaining giants in front of them were eliminated, Central Earth would be victorious. Then they could return to the ancient hunt. Therefore, they attacked fiercely, eager to end the war as soon as possible. Liu Bianwang looked confused and suspicious. Surveying the intensely brutal battlefield, he said in a deep voice, "Wasn't it said that Central Earth was already exhausted? To be able to win with fewer numbers and bring the decisive battle to this extent?" Yun Wangxiao also appeared somewhat shocked. Northern Heavenly State's strength is much stronger than Central Earth, but even they haven't achieved such results. Tian Qin covered her red lips lightly, inhaling sharply as she said, "Brother, did we misunderstand the strength of Central Earth somehow?" At this moment, Heavenly Sword was also full of shock. The imagined scene of Central Earth being utterly defeated did not appear. On the contrary, it was the ancient giants who were being slaughtered and fleeing. His eyes filled with dissatisfaction, he said, "Central Earth cannot possibly defeat the heavenly giants. Impossible to win." Jiang Fan, riding the white tiger, chased to the connecting sky black pillar. At this time, the Central Earth Army and the Hunt Army had joined forces. The number of great venerates was almost 3 times that of the giant kings. Heavenly Person 4 declines, 3 declines, and second decline were even 4 times as many. The result was clear. The combined impact of the allied forces from various realms was like a torrent engulfing the giant kings. When they reached the connecting sky black pillar, only a few 5-star giant kings were protecting Princess Zaijiang and escaped onto it. But it was only temporary. As young Master Xiang, Yun Wangxiao, and others took action, Blood Moon King and 3 5-star giant kings fell, bleeding from the sky. Princess Zaijiang was also knocked down by the wave of heavenly human 5 declines. Unfortunately, she landed not far in front of Jiang Fan. Looking at Princess Zaijiang in a sorry state, her body shaking with alarming injuries, he chuckled and said, "Returning to the giant clan and getting hurt like this, your compatriots don't care about you at all. Only your brother cares for you." Hearing the word brother, Princess Zaijiang recalled being tricked by Jiang Fan to kill her own people. She got up full of anger. "Jiang Fan, you bastard." Slap, the white tiger slapped her to the ground with a warning growl. Jiang Fan smiled slightly. "Let me introduce you. This is the advocate of civilization, specializing in purifying social atmosphere. Speak civilly or you'll get slapped." Already heavily injured, Princess Zaijiang was dizzy from the slap. But she still glared viciously at Jiang Fan, saying, "Kill or cut as you please. Don't think of imprisoning me again." Jiang Fan looked down at her, his smile fading, his gaze turning cold. "Indeed, you deserve to die. The battle of Central Earth is about to end. You have no more value." Ha ha ha. Hearing Jiang Fan's words, Princess Zaijiang laughed, eyes filled with mockery. "Who told you it's over? Jiang Fan, Central Earth is finished. You can't save anyone." Ha ha ha. Jiang Fan's face was calm, his eyes unperturbed as he softly said, "Isn't it just about calling in reinforcements from elsewhere?" Princess Zaijiang's laughter abruptly stopped, surprised and suspicious. "How do you know?" The order for reinforcements was issued after Jiang Fan entered the ancient hunt. How could Jiang Fan know? Is it so hard to guess? Jiang Fan looked at the mostly slain giant kings, saying, "Would your southern heavenly realm easily give up after such a huge price just because of the ancient hunt?" A frenzied counterattack, calling in reinforcements, was expected. Princess Zaijiang narrowed her eyes, feeling a bit uneasy. "Then why do you still think the war will end? To tell you the truth, my father has already called in 5 central armies, prepared to besiege the heavenly state. Each one stronger than the previous 4 central armies. Your Central Earth army and these otherworldly armies cannot possibly stop them." Jiang Fan smiled calmly. "And if they can't be stopped, what then? If I die, someone will replace me in the ancient hunt until the end, completely ending this battle." When he leaped into the Black River, he was prepared for his demise. "As for you," Jiang Fan's eyes turned sharp, "I've prepared a new gift for your ancient giants. I hope you'll like it." Zaijiang inexplicably felt a pang of anxiety and shouted urgently, "What do you intend to do?" The last time Jiang Fan said he had a surprise, it was to make her and her kin kill each other. Now saying he brought a gift, it sent chills down her spine. Jiang Fan took out the domain mirror that had once imprisoned her and said, "I will let you witness everything." He leaped in front of her, gripping the mirror, and harshly pressed it against her forehead. Princess Zaijiang did not evade. Facing a white tiger in the heavenly human 5 declines, her resistance was utterly unnecessary. However, a princess has the dignity of a princess. "Wait, I'll do it myself," Princess Zaijiang said softly, extending her hand. Jiang Fan smirked slightly. Speaking with an intelligent person is reassuring. He casually tossed the domain mirror to Princess Zaijiang. She gazed at the familiar mirror which had imprisoned her for a long time, and shadows rose in her heart. After barely escaping his clutches, she was captured again in a blink. Is this her fate? She lightly touched her own forehead, and her 8-jang tall body was absorbed into the domain mirror like wisps of smoke. Returning to the mirror, she skillfully sat cross-legged, staring intently at Jiang Fan. "This time I want to watch you and your Central Earth be destroyed," Jiang Fan said calmly. "You will be disappointed." With that, he placed the mirror into his bosom. Princess Zaijiang had actually lost her value to him, and the reason for sparing her life was that the great wine sacrifice had once hinted significantly to him. To treat Princess Zaijiang kindly. Is a giant emperor's daughter worth Jiang Fan's consideration? Once the reason is clear in the future, decide on life and death later. Suddenly, a shadow loomed over Jiang Fan. Looking up, a massive head streaming with blood was falling from the sky toward him. Jiang Fan reached out and grabbed. "Pa!" The gigantic head collided with Jiang Fan's palm, producing a dull thud. The head came to rest, and Jiang Fan finally saw the face clearly. It was the head of the Blood Moon King. Its vertical eyes were wide open, filled with residual fear and unwillingness. Jiang Fan looked toward the direction of the head, where Liu Bianwang was coldly staring at him, and snorted. "Back to the hunting grounds, I shall deal with you properly." Aiding Jiang Fan's Central Earth in slaughtering enemies, Liu Bianwang felt utterly stifled. Fortunately, the battle was nearing its end. Two intense screams sounded simultaneously. Behind young Master Xiang, two colossal five-star giant kings fell with a crash, kicking up dust to the sky. He slowly sheathed his sword and said blandly, "Five-star giant kings, nothing more. Leave the rest to you. They are not worthy of my drawing a second sword." Roar, another scream followed. The last five-star giant king collapsed with a crash. Yun Wangxiao shook the blood off his feathers, appearing relaxed. Although helping Central Earth to defeat enemies made him feel like he was eating dung, fortunately, the crisis Central Earth faced was light and would soon be over. The four five-star giant kings were successively slain by the great venerates of archaic hunting, leaving the great venerates of Central Earth somewhat embarrassed. They had struggled for so long, not defeating even one five-star giant king. The three before them made swift work of them all. By comparison, they seemed to be muddling through. Iceheart Venerate touched the divine ring at the back of her head, muttering, "Am I perhaps a fake great venerate? We're all great venerates. Why is there such a disparity?" Jiangshan first-class building owner coughed awkwardly. "Don't count me in. I have the giant emperor's curse on me, so not defeating a five-star giant king is normal, unlike with you guys." Wan Bing Venerate coughed. "I've done too much smithing, my body is full of ailments, not winning is normal too." Golden Scale Venerate said sheepishly, "Since you're all sick, then I'm sick too. I think it's my daughter's illness acting up." The host of Star Mountain blushed. Yes, what a coincidence, I'm also unwell, it's that time for me." Red Sleeves was speechless. She swept her gaze over young Master Xiang, Yun Wangxiao, and Liu Bianwang, saying, "Being unlike them is quite normal. Among them, one is a sage's avatar, and the other two have long been eligible to break into the virtuous realm, only suppressing their cultivation for the archaic hunt. Amongst you great venerates of Central Earth, likely only the young emperor can rival those three." With those words, everyone's embarrassment quickly eased. Iceheart Venerate covered her flushed face, letting out a small breath. Being at the young emperor's level, there's no shame. But with so many powerful people, all friends with Jiang Fan, even volunteering to help in Central Earth. That guy, does he have such charisma? She scrutinized Jiang Fan with a hint of jealousy. Red Sleeves smiled wryly. Only this innocent girl great venerate believed it. These people were top elites from various realms, with both ability and cunning, not easily deceived into coming to Central Earth. Most likely, Jiang Fan used some powerful means to forcefully bring them to Central Earth. She couldn't be bothered to expose it, saying, "Quickly resolve the remaining giant kings." The great venerates responded. Their joining turned the divinity transformation realm-level battles into a one-sided massacre. After just a short while, near the connecting sky-black pillar, no giant king remained standing. Thus, the armies of the Black Sun Royal Court and Blood Moon Royal Court, both. The 9th Central Army of the Netherworld King, along with the 8th, 7th, and 6th four Central Armies. All are wiped out. Conversely, on the human clan's side, only a dozen or so from the divinity transformation realm fell. Most of them were in the early battles, severely disadvantaged in the heavenly person decline. For the second decline, third decline, and fourth decline, only a few fell. Such casualties are even less than those of a great state in Hanuan state. This battle can be called a historic triumph of the few over the many, with the end of the divinity transformation realm battle. The battle between the sages and giant emperor also ended, the two sides tacitly stepping back to their own sides. The six-sun giant emperor's grand figure fell heavily. Looking at the corpses of the four five-star giant kings, his eyes were urgent, quickly scanning around. "No need to look, she's with me." Jang Fan stepped back a few steps, shielding the great wine sacrifice before him. He then took out the domain mirror with Princess Zaijiang imprisoned inside. The six-sun giant emperor's gaze was sharp. "It's you again." Soon, he noticed the powerful figures from Otherworld, his gaze turning from sharp to somber. "Did you bring them to Central Earth?" According to his estimates, it was possible to hold out until reinforcements arrived. But Jiang Fan came and swiftly ended the war. This small human clan, what extent of damage had it brought to their southern heavenly realm? Even a great sage posed less threat. Jiang Fan said, "Ancient dark creatures, anyone can exterminate them. These like-minded friends of mine came to subdue you. If dissatisfied, seek them out." Shush, shush, shush. Gazes filled with murderous intent shot over from among the powerful figures of the realms. "This damn guy. He freeloaded on them and then hurled them out as shields. Even black slaves shouldn't be treated this way. I have so many close friends and a well-preserved Central Earth army. If the battle continues, even if you win, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. For the sake of your giant clan, and for the sake of your daughter, withdraw your troops." Although he knew hope was slim, he still had to try. The six-son giant emperor coldly stared at Jiang Fan. "Ceasefire? Impossible. Even if it costs us our last giant, I will see Central Earth destroyed. As for my daughter, she will understand me." In the mirror, Princess Zaijiang bore a calm expression, having long accepted her fate. She spoke calmly. "Father, our crushing defeat in this battle is largely due to underestimating Jiang Fan's threat. Please do not repeat the same mistake. When reinforcements arrive, be sure to gather all your strength to eliminate Jiang Fan first, or it will lead to unforeseen changes." Her speech was swift, trying to finish before Jiang Fan could stop her. To her slight surprise, Jiang Fan did not interrupt. Instead, he allowed her to finish. This left her with a foreboding feeling. Was Jiang Fan unafraid of death, or did he have another plan? Unfortunately, the words had already been spoken. The six-son giant emperor looked at Princess Zaijiang, a trace of reluctance in his eyes. His massive head nodded slightly. "I know. I will kill him first to avenge you." Princess Zaijiang showed a look of sadness and said, "Take care, father. Please ensure our clan crushes Central Earth. I will congratulate you from the underworld." Jiang Fan quietly waited for them to finish speaking, then put away the domain mirror. He sighed deeply. "Very well. Since you in the southern heavenly realm are going all in, let's hope you don't regret it." The negotiations had broken down. The giant emperor and the 10 sins of Central Earth stood guard at the connecting sky-black pillar, waiting for the army to arrive. The Central Earth forces retreated to a distance to recuperate and prepare for the final battle. "Jiang Fan, what's the situation now?" The great wine sacrifice and several sages gathered around. Jiang Fan roughly explained the situation. The aged face of the great wine sacrifice showed signs of gravity. "Seeing you, I guessed you had fallen into the Black River. However, you should not have wished to return to Central Earth. Going to another battlefield with your might, you might have a chance to help that world end the war within 6 hours. But Central Earth, I'm afraid there's no hope. The other 5 central armies, each one more formidable than the last, especially the First Army." Jiang Fan nodded slightly. "I understand. An army meant to deal with the heavenly state could hardly be weak. Someone once said, the strength of the heavenly state equals the combined strength of the other 8 states. The ancient giants, eager to conquer the heavenly state, mustered a force stronger than the heavenly state. So they would later face an unprecedentedly strong ally." Jiang Fan said, "We only need to hold out for 6 hours until the primeval hunt ends, at which point the battle will cease with Green Pearl's survival till the end." "Of course." Jiang Fan looked at the might of the various realms and said, "If we can defeat the giants and end the war early, that would be good too." This group, despite having hostility towards him, some even having murderous intents, but they too fought for their own worlds, and Jiang Fan held no grudge against them. If winning this battle allowed them to return to the primeval hunt, they could also end their world's wars. The great wine sacrifice pondered, "Let's hope the giants' reinforcements can't arrive within 6 hours. Central Earth has already made many sacrifices." Wanyan Sage mused, "No need to worry too much. From the heavenly state to here takes half a day. Since the six-son giant emperor gave the order, 3 hours have already passed. With only 3 hours left, the giant reinforcements might not arrive in time." Jiang Fan, hearing this, was slightly invigorated. If the reinforcements couldn't arrive and Central Earth was in a victorious state, would the primeval hunt deem them as winners? At that moment, they would all be transported back. So it depended on the giant's speed. If they had to cross the heavenly realm, they couldn't possibly make it in time. Hearing this, the experts from various realms breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Yishan said, "That scared me. If another army came, how could we win?" Jiang Fan smiled and said, "Dear friends, we mustn't let our guard down. Please adjust yourselves properly, just in case." Jiang Yishan angrily said, "Who the hell is your friend?" Smack. Just as the words fell, a civilized iron palm descended from the sky, knocking him to the ground. The white tiger retracted its claw and snorted from its nostrils. Jiang Yishan spat a mouthful of blood and gritted his teeth, saying, "You damn. We'll see, Starfare Venerable." The others dispersed, each finding a place to adjust themselves. Jiang Fan smiled as he looked at the sages and said, "Honored seniors, do you have any other questions?" He too wanted to rest a bit and prepare for the potential giant reinforcements. Wanyan Sage looked at the 260 feet of light beam behind Jiang Fan, then at other beams with amazement. "You could claim first place amidst so many supreme beings. I really don't know how you've done it." Tianluo said, The red-faced sage and the compassionate sage also showed expressions of astonishment. They had seen the combat prowess of young Master Xiang and others. All were top-level existences among the heavenly human 5 declines, especially young Master Xiang. They vaguely realized he should be a sage's incarnation. Yet Jiang Fan managed to surpass him. This left them baffled. The great wine sacrifice, while observing the beam, couldn't suppress his excitement. "You always surprise us, the great wine sacrifice. Do you know why we chose you for the primeval hunt instead of the young emperor?" Jiang Fan thought for a moment, then nodded. "I know. Because your only expectation for this primeval hunt's participants was survival. The young emperor, though strong, might not secure first place. As for the young emperor's strength, his achievements would certainly not be weak. However, securing first place was not guaranteed. This time, there were too many prodigies participating. Putting aside the invincible young master Xiang, Liu Baianwang, Yun Wangxiao, and the heavenly sword were all on par with him. Securing first place was challenging. Moreover, he might even engage in fierce battles with others due to his domineering nature and face demise. The great wine sacrifice nodded. "Exactly. Your experiences from both trips to the heavenly realm have proven you far surpass others in adaptability. If you can't survive the primeval hunt till the end, it would be even harder for others. Yet, we never expected you to surpass them and claim first place. Once this battle is over, we must reward you heavily. Whatever's within Central Earth. It's yours." Jang Fan's face lit up with joy. He had already decided what to ask from these sages. It was the power of laws. If he could gather the power of laws from a dozen sages, it would be enough to light the yellow gourd. With that, when facing a sage, he would have a life-saving ace. However, the precondition was returning with the first-place achievement. Fan was full of anticipation. If he could activate the yellow gourd, the first to target would be the 10 sins of Central Earth. Just as he was cultivating the poison body, he needed a sage's merit stone. However, do sages who entered sage by fortune have a merit stone? If not, does that mean the Usura Saint heir who also entered sage by fortune doesn't have one either? His gaze swept back and forth among a few sages, secretly noting it down. There would be a chance to ask the great wine sacrifice in private which sages didn't use their merit stones in the previous sage-level battle. He bid farewell to several sages. The Jiangshan first-class building owner led a group of great venerates to rush over. Looking at the beam of light behind Jiang Fan, he was both amazed and immensely proud. The Jiangshan first-class building owner patted his shoulder and said, "Kid, you've made us Central Earth proud before all the 100 realms of all heavens." Jiang Fan smiled and said, "It was all thanks to that one book you gave me." The Jiangshan first-class building owner quickly interrupted him, saying, "A solemn domain, right?" His dark-hearted domain making immense profit wasn't something to be exposed. Jiang Fan understood, coughed lightly, and said, "Yes, indeed, it was a solemn domain. By the way, can the sages help heal your injury?" Previously, during the great battle, the sages didn't have the spare time. Now, during the truce, perhaps the sages could be asked to try. The owner sighed and shook his head, saying, "It's useless, I'm not actually injured. Rather, my entire body of flesh and blood was consumed by the giant emperor's spear. Even the sages are powerless." Jiang Fan stroked his chin and nodded. "If I can return to the hunting ground, I'll try to seek a restoration item for you." What seemed impossible for the sages might not be difficult for the dark-hearted Kiki. The Jiangshan first-class building owner's spirit lifted slightly, saying, "Much obliged, no matter the cost. Once I return, I'll repay you. If Central Earth wins this battle, the merit I gain might send me into the sage. But that's based on the condition that my body is restored to peak condition." His greatest contribution to this battle was infiltrating the heavenly realm, deceiving 3 giant emperors, and personally killing one. If not for that, there would have been 2 more one-day giant emperors and 1 2-star sleeping giant emperor. The sage-level battle would have ended in defeat long ago. Such unmatched achievements would be unjust if Central Earth didn't reward him with the merits to enter sage. Jiang Fan laughed. "Then I'll congratulate you in advance for entering sage." At this moment, Red Sleeves stood in the distance, giving Jiang Fan a look. Jiang Fan knew what she wanted to ask and after a moment's thought walked over. "Earlier during the battle, my chest hurt. Did something happen with the green pearl?" Red Sleeves asked. Jiang Fan replied honestly, "She almost died, but she's safe now." Red Sleeves frowned. Reckless with her strength, she shouldn't venture into the ancient hunt to seek death. Then she gazed deeply at Jiang Fan. "You didn't do anything to her, did you?" Jiang Fan was momentarily stunned before realizing she referred to the green pearl clinging to him like an octopus. Even separated by a world, Red Sleeves sensed something. I did nothing to her. I swear by the heavens. Red Sleeves was privately puzzled. She clearly felt her chest being compressed by something, as if Jiang Fan had pressed the green pearl under him. But with Jiang Fan's confident swear, he didn't seem like he was lying. She could only warn once more, "Don't touch her, this is your final warning." No exaggeration, whatever Jiang Fan did to the green pearl, it was as if he did it to her. The green pearl facing Jiang Fan alone was like a lamb facing a big bad wolf. Just the thought gave Red Sleeves anxiety. No, aren't you assured of my character? All right, I have to prepare for the possible battle, farewell." After speaking, he left under Red Sleeves' sharp gaze. Not mentioning character was better, mentioning it made Red Sleeves more worried. Beside a giant king's corpse, Jiang Fan leaned against it, his heart stirred as he took out the enormous head of the Blood Moon King. Casually, he picked off the 5 stars on its forehead. He struck 5 soul nails from his forehead, each piercing into a star. One of them immediately let out a miserable scream. Indeed, the Blood Moon King had preserved a strand of soul within an original star. Jiang Fan decisively activated Soul Hook, intending to extract its soul. "Wait, don't kill me. Give me another chance to live. I know the Black Sun King's secret." Jiang Fan's gaze flickered. "What secret?" the Blood Moon King said. "I know it left an Angel Clan artifact in the treasury that cannot see the light. It can guide the Angel Clan to locate a holy hall of a 9-winged great angel." "What?" Jiang Fan's pupils shook. A 9-winged great angel, equivalent to the human clan's 3 calamities sage realm, or the giant's 9-day giant emperor. As for the holy hall, it should be similar to a human clan's cave dwelling. If true, what an immense opportunity it would be. The Jiangshan first-class building owner found just a broken angel's sword in a ruin and killed a giant emperor with it. A casually found great angel's bone could even hide someone's divine ring. Hard to imagine what a 9-winged great angel's remains might hold. But how much of the Blood Moon King's words were credible? "How do you know?" The Blood Moon King didn't dare conceal, because it was something he and I found together. We agreed to search for the Angel Clan together and then explore. Spare my life, and I'll lead you to the Black Sun King's treasury to find it, then guide you to the Holy Hall. Jiang Fan's gaze flickered for a while before putting away the soul hook technique. "Don't deceive me." He threw the original star into the ghost soul crystal. Then he took out the domain mirror and set it aside. Princess Zaijiang opened her eyes and observed Jiang Fan. "What are you doing?" Jiang Fan said nothing, taking out a mountain-sized pile of materials, all highly toxic. Then, in his mind, he recalled the poisons from the poison origin scripture that could kill an ancient giant king. There were many poison formulas. The most potent ones could even harm a giant emperor. But aside from being difficult to craft, the materials were lacking. In the end, he chose a poison named Smoke Luo Powder. It was a 6-gu poison, lethal against 2-star giants and below. Not the most toxic, and it wasn't easy to craft. But it had one advantage: it was mist-like. Once it erupted, it could spread hundreds of meters, and if the giants were dense enough, its destructive power was comparable to one of his flawless domains. Having chosen this poison, Jiang Fan selected the corresponding materials from the pile. Then he began crafting it on the spot. An hour later, 10 3-gu poisons lay before him. Princess Zaijiang watched the entire process. Finally understanding Jiang Fan's intent, she sneered. "Is this the gift you spoke of? Seems like, sometimes I overestimated you. This level of toxicity is useless to us." Jiang Fan unhurriedly took out the mountain river tripod and threw the 10 poison pills inside. After some refining, a cup of tea later, a concentrated poison pill emitting purple smoke appeared within the tripod. 6-gu poison, Smoke Luo Powder. Princess Zaijiang's expression finally turned serious. Mirror, she could feel the terrifying nature of the poison pills. The 2-star giant king, a touch would mean certain death. What's frightening is this is still poison mist. She slightly focused, saying, "You really brought back something terrifying from the ancient wilderness hunting ground. If you had mastered this alchemy skill before the ancient giants arrived and were given enough time, it would truly be a devastating disaster for us ancient giants. Unfortunately, it's too late now." Jiang Fan put away the Smoke Luo Powder, saying, "With those words of yours, I'm relieved. It seems this pill's toxicity is adequate for your ancient giants." Princess Zaijiang relaxed, her shoulders slightly trembling. "Humph, humph. An hour to refine one, does it matter? Our reinforcements will arrive in just a little over 2 hours. Jiang Fan smiled without a word, taking out a time hourglass, flipping it and placing it before him. Inside, the snow-white sand slowly fell. In the next moment, an invisible time domain enveloped a 3-zhang area. Princess Zaijiang, who cultivated the time origin, was most sensitive to the perception of time. Her expression changed dramatically, whispering, "The tenfold time acceleration law? Where did you get it?" Her voice suddenly heightened, sharp and frantic. Jiang Fan gave a calm smile. "Time is long, slowly enjoy the gift I have prepared for you ancient giants." With the previous modulation experience, he became more proficient, being able to refine one in about an hour. Under Princess Zaijiang's increasingly anxious gaze, one by one, the 6 pots of smoke luo powder were prepared. An hour later in the outside world, Jiang Fan had already spent a full 10 2-hour periods under time acceleration. 20 smoke luo powders were arranged before him in order. Princess Zaijiang bit her lips, saying, "How many giants can one poison pill kill?" Jiang Fan put them away, saying, "If it's dense enough, one can kill more than 10. 10? Princess Zaijiang's heart tightened. With 21 in total, wouldn't that poison over 200 giant kings? The 5 central armies only have a bit over 400, of which 1-star and 2-star occupy 300. Could Jiang Fan alone poison more than half? She said solemnly, "This is just theoretical. Why would our giant kings, who are not foolish, gather around you?" "Wait!" She suddenly froze, recalling how she had reminded her father at any cost to kill Jiang Fan first in battle. At that time, wouldn't the giant kings gather towards Jiang Fan? Her expression changed drastically, fiercely pounding on the domain mirror, frantic. "You tricked me into reminding my father, just to make it easier for you to use the poison for greater casualties." Jiang Fan shrugged. "What else?" Princess Zaijiang clutched her head, screaming in frustration. "Jiang Fan, you've set me up again. You demon!" Her suggestion would harm so many ancient giants, far more than she had killed herself last time. Why is she so stupid, falling for Jiang Fan's trap again and again? For someone like him, how could he allow her to remind her father, allow her to trouble him? If he permits it, he must be brewing an even bigger plan. Jiang Fan picked up the domain mirror, tapped on it, isolating her voice, saying lightly, "Next, just experience the gift I have prepared for you ancient giants." Amid Princess Zaijiang's collapse and shouts, Jiang Fan put the mirror into his arms. He then looked at the stopped space-time hourglass with a face of regret. "If the giant kings don't come, that would be a waste." Before the words faded, a charming voice suddenly echoed behind him. "Xiao Yan, didn't I tell you? Men once lonely would take a second look at even a passing sow. If you don't come, who knows what might happen between him and that female giant?" Jiang Fan was taken aback, turning his head to see. A slender, elegant woman in a yellow dress, with flowing long hair, stood on the corpse of the giant king. Beside her floated a broken jade paper heavenly book, embedded with a shattered, cursed sun wheel. On the book lay a palm-sized little soul woman. Enchantingly beautiful, with a beauty mark at her mouth corner, her expression lazy, rolling her eyes at Jiang Fan. It was the owner of the jade paper heavenly book, the lecherous sage. As for the woman in yellow, she was naturally the true word venerable. "True word?" Jiang Fan excitedly leaped up. "When did you arrive?" The true word venerable gazed at the slightly weary Jiang Fan with a hint of apology in her expression. "I just arrived. Are you all right?" She hadn't expected that a trip into the fire well of the fire worship sect would result in the outside world changing so drastically. She missed the great battles of Taikang State and Central Earth. She also missed Jiang Fan's grand wedding, his divinity transformation. So much had been missed in just 2 days. Jiang Fan might blame her, right? Jiang Fan felt a bit unaccustomed, as the true word venerable rarely showed a good face. Today she was much gentler indeed. "I'm fine, and you? Has the lecherous sage been sincerely imparting her knowledge to you?" He. The lecherous sage on the jade paper heavenly book lazily sat up. "Lecherous is lecherous, as if you're not. If you weren't lecherous, how did you pick such a beautiful woman like Xiao Yan for a wife?" Jiang Fan couldn't be bothered with this old woman. Care and concern turned to the true word venerable. "The senior has greatly favored me, imparting everything she learned in her life to me. She even helped me comprehend the path of truth, aiding the growth of my soul." The true word venerable gazed gratefully at the little one beside her. Jiang Fan finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had always worried this flirtatious woman was unreliable. Since the other party had kept her promise to pass on to true word, Jiang Fan also fulfilled his, reaching out and retrieving the essence blood he put into the jade paper heavenly book. The lecherous sage was overjoyed. Because of Jiang Fan's essence blood refined into the jade paper heavenly book, she was unable to return inside. Now it was finally removed, and immediately she dove back into it. Wow, it's so good inside, holding me tightly warm and comfortable. I'll never come out again, love it inside. Jiang Fan, true word venerable, Jiang Fan worriedly said. True word, will she always stay with you now? If the time drags on, won't the true word venerable be led astray by her? The true word venerable helplessly smiled. The senior is quite fine aside from loving to play tricks on me. Jiang Fan looked disdainful. How could there be such a sage? If not for the true word venerable, he would have kicked her away long ago. Jiang Fan, what's going on with Hanuan state? Why is the vast energy so dense? The true word venerable looked around, frowning lightly. Jiang Fan thought of the blue wish paper with the grand promise to heaven and earth. The vast energy inside was just a small part of Hanuan state. He really didn't know what Zinguan venerable planned with so much vast energy. I'd like to know too, why don't we visit your father together? Jiang Fan probed. He felt it necessary for the father and daughter to have an open and honest conversation. Zinguan venerable is definitely not someone who, with his wife's bones not yet cold, would find a new love so easily. Word venerable's face returned to its usual coldness, with no trace of father-daughter affection for the Zinguan venerable in her eyes. Perhaps feeling her tone towards Jiang Fan was too heavy, her voice softened. I know what you want to say, that someone with his heart for the world wouldn't abandon his own family. Surely it's a misunderstanding. I thought so too, and even questioned him face to face. But his answer was just like what was spread outside. I did not wrong him. Jiang Fan frowned. How could this be? Is there something hidden? The true word venerable gently shook her head with a trace of softness in her eyes. Don't dwell on the matter between Zinguan venerable and me anymore. I've already let it go over the years. I have no family in this world. Only you count as half. Jiang Fan's heart stirred slightly, looking at the true word venerable in surprise. The meaning of those words is, the true word venerable, embarrassed, looked away and said, Thank you for risking to find me under the fire well. After the war, marry me. I'll marry you. Jiang Fan's eyes opened wide little by little. He never expected the true word venerable to say such things. A slight blush appeared on the true word venerable's cheeks, but she calmly said, Although there is no romantic feeling between us, you are my first man, and I am willing to follow you. Unable to tell lies, every declarative sentence she spoke was what she truly felt. But after speaking, receiving no response for a moment, she turned her head to see Jiang Fan standing there, dazed. Embarrassed, she stomped her foot. Give me an answer. She had already shown her feelings, but Jiang Fan left her hanging without responding, making her extremely awkward. Jiang Fan snapped back, naturally wrapped his arm around her waist. The true word venerable twisted symbolically, but Jiang Fan hugged her tighter, pulling her completely into his embrace. His broad chest tightly enveloped her slender body. Feeling his scorching breath on her face and the heat of his chest, she said unnaturally, Are you mute? Speak up. Jiang Fan, smiling, said, Who could refuse a beautiful wife? If we survive the war, I'll marry you. Upon receiving a definite answer, the true word venerable's worried heart finally calmed down. She was really afraid Jiang Fan would outright refuse, leaving her with no place to turn. Consider yourself smart, dare to refuse and see what happens. The true word venerable lightly punched his chest. Jiang Fan chuckled. Oh, what if I refuse? The true word venerable took out a large pair of scissors without a second thought. Did you forget about this? Jiang Fan was speechless with laughter. How could he forget? It was with these scissors that the true word venerable chased him from the Taikang state all the way to the Hanuan state. Unexpectedly, through a twist of fate, their entangled relationship turned into a good one. Ultimately, they ended up together by a strange twist of events. He involuntarily recalled that wild and romantic night. The warmth and fragrance in his arms now made his gaze slowly heat up. The true word venerable noticed Jiang Fan's change. Her face turned red too, and she struggled lightly. Let me go, there are many people here. Her red lips were sealed. She symbolically resisted a few times, found she couldn't resist. So she simply closed her eyes, lying in Jiang Fan's embrace, letting him be. Jiang Fan's hand also took the opportunity to climb onto True White, just as he was about to grip tightly. Clang, 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 the evil sword on his back vibrated intensely. The outline of the markings on it became much clearer. Startled by the sudden sound, True Word awoke and quickly freed herself from Jiang Fan's embrace. She wiped her slightly numb mouth, blushing, and said, "So annoying." Jiang Fan turned angrily, took the evil sword off, and threw it on the ground, stomping on it twice. "Annoying thing?" the True Word Venerable, puzzled, asked. "Why did your sword move on its own?" Jiang Fan replied dismissively. "Can't stand me being happy. Because you agreed to be with me, it got upset." The True Word Venerable was surprised. "Such a strange artifact spirit. Then, if I live with you in the future, won't it be even angrier?" It seemed like hearing this, the evil sword vibrated even more intensely. Jiang Fan's eyes showed amazement. Even when he broke through to the divinity transformation realm, the artifact spirit wasn't this agitated. Now a little affection with True Word got it so angry. If he really married her, wouldn't it be angry enough to evolve the evil sword into a quasi-realm artifact on the spot? He suddenly became a bit expectant. Calculating the time, less than 1.5 2 hours remain until the end of the ancient hunt. There's no movement above the connecting sky-black pillar. The giant's reinforcements probably couldn't arrive in time. The end of the war is near. He once promised Yue Mingzhu that if he was still alive after the war, he would marry her. Now he promised True Word as well. At that time, let's marry both of them together. Whoosh! Suddenly, the lecherous sage's small head popped out from the jade paper heavenly book. Jiang Fan gave her a sidelong glance. "Were you spying?" But the lecherous sage's expression was uncharacteristically serious, looking around the world and said, "The aura of Hanuan state has changed." Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat, looking towards the great wine sacrifice and others. He just noticed they were suddenly serious. It seemed they sensed something, solemnly staring at the sky above the connecting sky-black pillar. Seated cross-legged on the ground with closed eyes, the six-sun giant emperor slowly opened his eyes. He smirked coldly. "It seems time is on our side. 1.5 2 hours is enough to smash you." A wild aura in Hanuan state's heaven and earth quickly thickened. Previously, when the three armies descended on Hanuan state, it wasn't this thick. Evidently, an unprecedented number of giants had arrived. Red Sleeves looked puzzled. "How can this be? The area above the heavenly state corresponds to the central tribe. From there to here indeed takes half a day for the army to march. Why this much earlier?" As someone from the southern heavenly realm, he was familiar with the distances between the tribes. Judging the speed of marching, it shouldn't be that far off. Unless... Red Sleeves' gaze moved slowly from above the connecting sky-black pillar towards the Qinshan Bureau's direction. Jiang Fan realized something as well, his face extremely grave. If the ancient giant's army had any way to reach faster, there was only one possibility: utilizing the state-level teleportation array of a certain state. However, Jiang Fan couldn't understand this. Even if at this time there are no divinity transformation realm overseers in each state, nascent soul realm ones are still present, especially the Qinshan Bureau, which has powerful sky watchers guarding it. If the ancient giants overtook the state-level teleportation array, the Qinshan Bureau would surely send someone to notify them in Hanuan state. But up till now, no Qinshan Bureau from any state reported anything unusual. At this moment, the Great Wine Sacrifice and others sensed something, all looking towards the Qinshan Bureau's direction. Among them, the compassionate sage looked surprised. As if a thought crossed his mind, a hint of guilt flashed in his eyes. It seemed the source of the aura had been pinpointed. It was indeed the Qinshan Bureau. The ancient giants used the state-level teleportation array of some state to arrive early on the battlefield. Jiang Fan soared into the sky suddenly, his expression grave. After all, it can't be avoided. Liu and Huang all soared into the sky. Young Master Xiang, with one hand behind his back and the other on his sword hilt, gazed imperiously. "I have waited for you all for a long time." Yun Wangxiao's face was gloomy. "How many ancient giants have come after all? This barbaric aura is simply too thick." The expressions on the faces of Liu and Huang, Jiang Yishan, and the numerous strong fighters were as ugly as they could be. It seemed like they could return safely as the time approached. Yet the ancient giants came to kill. Indeed, such a perilous battlefield brought by the forbidden land of the Black River, could it end so easily? Unexpectedly, we might all be dragged to death in Central Earth. Don't lose hope yet. Let's see how many enemies are there first. Thud, thud. Thud, thud, thud. The ground, turned into wasteland, began to shake. Countless iron hooves trampled the land of Hanuan state, marching towards this place in great grandeur. At the ends of the sky, dust like dragons, mountains collapsed under the impact of indescribable creatures. The dull sounds of weapons clashing followed one after another. This is something other ancient giant armies do not have. Everyone held their breath and watched. They saw an army of about 80 giant kings, like moving mountains, coming here. They were no longer ordinary golden giant kings, but were dressed in bronze-colored ancient armor, covering them tightly, exposing only the huge vertical eyes and mouths. All of them wielded highly destructive golden wolf fang clubs. Leading them were two 30-foot-tall 5-star giant kings walking side by side. The fifth army of the central tribe arrives at the battlefield. Please order us, my emperor. Immediately after, another batch of fully armed troops arrived with a mighty aura. The fourth army of the central tribe arrives at the battlefield. Please order us, my emperor. The third army of the central tribe arrives at the battlefield. Please order us, my emperor. The second army of the central tribe. The first army of the central tribe. The 5 grand armies of giant kings gathered at the battlefield, like an endless mountain range, breaking the boundary between heaven and earth. Jang Fan's eyes were heavy. 10 5-star giant kings, 400 ordinary giant kings, all clad in bronze armor. Princess Zai, Jiang lied. To deal with the army of heavenly state, wasn't it more than twice as difficult compared to dealing with ordinary great state armies? Just in terms of numbers, it's more than doubled, not to mention the bronze armor that has never appeared before. Liu Bian Huang's pupils constricted. What's going on with your southern heavenly realm's giant kings? Why do they have armor? Yun Wangxia was also shocked. This is the Senluo armor that only the Asura clan can forge, which can block attacks of the same realm. Central Earth is doomed. Completely doomed. We will all be dragged to death in the battlefield of Central Earth. Jiang Fan recalled that he once saw many corpses of the angel clan in the stone cone space of the 10,000 Tribulations holy temple. They were all wearing armor. The armor worn by the current giant kings was somewhat similar to that of the angel clan. Only, the giant king's armor was even larger. Jiang Fan looked at Red Sleeves not far away. The latter also had a look of surprise, a hint of frost hanging on her face. This group of Dark Shura clan aiding the tyrant. Aren't they afraid of being accounted for later, Dark Shura clan? Jiang Fan's gaze narrowed, looking around, only to realize that since the experts from various realms came to Central Earth, the sibling pair of the Dark Shura clan have never shown up, let alone fought against the giants. He showed a murderous intent but had no time to trouble them. Is the Senluo armor really that powerful? Jiang Fan asked. Red Sleeves nodded. This is still due to the extreme scarcity of yin qi in the heavenly realm. If the armor is filled with yin qi, its defense would leap to another level. Jiang Fan's face was calm. He took True Word Venerable's hand. True Word Venerable felt the meaning Jiang Fan conveyed. He couldn't wait for the war to end and couldn't marry her. No chance of winning. We've survived so many difficult battles. Jiang Fan shook his head. No hope. 400 giant kings all clad in armor. We have no hope of victory. True Word Venerable looked at the otherworld experts and said, Aren't they here to help? Jiang Fan's eyes darkened. If there is a chance of winning, they will fight with all their might. In a battle with no chance, they will preserve their own strength, stay away from the battlefield, and wait for an opportunity to escape Central Earth. As if to confirm his words, many otherworld experts, after weighing the pros and cons, successively retreated, fleeing to the fringes of the battlefield. This battle was unwinnable. It was destined that they would not return to the ancient wilderness hunting ground. Given this, what point is there in risking one's life to help the ancient giants kill? It's wiser to stay alive and find a chance to escape Central Earth. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. Before long, more than half of the otherworld experts had fled. Liu Bian Huang glared venomously at Jiang Fan, also decisively retreated. Yun Wangxiao, even more so, prioritized self-preservation and retreated without a word. Finally, only a few scattered otherworld experts remained. Young Master Xiang, calm and collected, slowly drew out his chilling emperor's longsword. Retreating from the formidable is not my way. Jiang Yishan wanted to leave but sneered at those damned ancient dark creatures, saying, I'll leave only after I've used up the poison on me. Seeing this scene, the Central Earth army was disheartened. True Word Venerable's lips trembled slightly. It seemed Central Earth really had no hope left. Feeling the firm hand gripping hers, she hesitated for a moment, then interlocked fingers gripping back. She gave Jiang Fan a reassuring look askance. I will stay with you till the end. Jiang Fan's eyes showed sadness. He had just promised to marry her after the war, a promise that could not be fulfilled. He looked back and said, All right, stay close to me later. Then Jiang Fan looked around and shouted, White tiger! The trembling white tiger from afar ran over, its eyes filled with unease. Jiang Fan apologized. Sorry for dragging you into this. Your soul is returned to you, find your own way out. He took out a wisp of White Tiger's soul and returned it. Keeping White Tiger by his side couldn't change the situation, better to let it go. White Tiger was slightly stunned, didn't expect Jiang Fan would release it. Hesitating for a moment, it caught that wisp of soul with its forehead. With the soul entering its body, it regained freedom, but it didn't leave. Instead, it extended its paw to draw a coffin symbol on the ground with a small figure inside. Jiang Fan identified it and said, You want to stay behind to handle my remains? White Tiger nodded its large head. Jiang Fan laughed. Ha ha ha! He laughed so hard his shoulders shook, his voice ringing long, echoing across the battlefield like sunshine piercing through dark clouds. Since someone is there to take care of my remains, this battle, what is there to fear? He held True Word Venerable's hand, leaping onto White Tiger's forehead. Overlooking the vast army of ancient giants like mountains, he laughed aloud. Central Earth's Jiang Fan is here. Come at me. Fan sighed, looking ahead with disdain. The nameless of Central Earth is here. The Golden Scale Venerate followed closely, boldly declaring, The Golden Scale Venerate of Central Earth is here. The Star Mountain Master, Ice Heart Venerate, and Wan Bing Venerate all flickered into presence. All the Venerates of Central Earth are here. The Heart Demon Venerable of Taikang State is here. Pingshan of Taikang State is here. Ming Yi of Taikang State is here. Taikang State. One by one, the Divinity Transformation Venerables of Central Earth flickered around Jiang Fan. They are protectors walking against the torrents of destruction, the starfare illuminating the path through the long, dark night. Their collective declarations of here forged the unyielding backbone of Central Earth, their resolute gazes entwined with Central Earth's indestructible faith. This moment marks the end of Central Earth. Yet it is also the moment when the stars shine brightest. Clusters of great figures ignited by ideals illuminate the ages of time and space, leaving behind an everlasting legend. Even if Central Earth perishes, there shall spread across the 100 realms like starfare. Ultimately, it will set the stars ablaze. The mighty from the otherworlds were shocked. In the face of the torrents of fate, what formidable will do the Divinity Transformation Venerables of Central Earth display? Knowing they are outmatched, yet still they persist in battling fate. Though they perish, they have no regrets. The tragic scene caused many fleeing powerhouses of the otherworlds to halt. So be it. Even if I return, my homeland is already destroyed. Let this broken body remain in this foreign land. We are all suffering beings under the ancient dark creatures. There is no distinction between this realm and that one. Fight for Central Earth. If I die in battle, my people will be proud of me. As a fellow member of the human clan, I will do my best. May Central Earth triumph and never suffer under the dark creatures again. One by one, the fleeing powerhouses of the otherworlds turned back. In the face of the destiny of life, they cast aside their identities as otherworlders, initiating an unprecedented alliance of the realms for a battle. At this moment, the starfare of Central Earth spreads across the 100 realms. The six-sun giant emperor showed a trace of shock in his eyes. Through the baptism of the millennial catastrophe, the fire of Central Earth's will burns ever brighter. What indeed sustains these pioneers to keep charging forward, like moths to a flame, crashing against the canopy of fate? He slowly closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the intent to kill surged like the sea. This time, Central Earth will have no chance. Kill! The final battle erupted in full fury. 400 giant kings charged majestically, their footsteps like rolling heavenly thunder, shaking the heavens and the earth. For a moment, the land seemed to tilt. Jiang Fan's eyes burned like torches as he shouted. Kill! Roar! With an earth-shattering roar, the white tiger leapt forth. The Divinity Transformation Venerables, like faint glimmers of fireflies, dove towards the dark wave of bronze giants. The two sides clashed on a plain. In an instant, several clouds of blood exploded forth. 3 Divinity Transformation Venerables were shattered into nothing upon collision with the bronze torrent. The giant kings, already possessing invincible physiques, became a force of apocalyptic destruction clad in bronze armor, smashing all in their path. The flesh and blood of the human clan were no match for them. The long battle line of the human clan was easily torn apart, ready to be divided, surrounded, and annihilated by the torrent of giants. The six-sun giant emperor's eyes glinted coldly, not forgetting his daughter's reminder, and he shouted, Prioritize killing Jiang Fan, at any cost. With this order, he met the oncoming human clan sages. The giant kings who received the order immediately targeted Jiang Fan. As he charged at the forefront, reaching the spearhead, he was too easy to spot. Fifth Army, the entire army strike. The target is to kill Jiang Fan. The nearest Fifth Army charged toward Jiang Fan. Be careful, shouted the Jiangshan first-class building owner from afar. How wary were the giants of Jiang Fan to mobilize an entire army to kill him? How could he alone withstand the attack of 80 giant kings? The Jiangshan first-class building owner wanted to rush over to rescue him, but was embroiled in his own trouble. The surrounding divinity transformation venerables were also facing several times their number in enemies, unable to do anything. They could only watch as Jiang Fan, riding the white tiger, fell into the encirclement of the giant kings. Jiang Fan stood on the tiger's back, his gaze sweeping disdainfully in all directions. One after another, the giant kings, exuding suffocating and oppressive pressure, charged ferociously towards him. He silently counted the distance between both sides. 100 meters, 50 meters, 30 meters, 10 meters. The giant king at the forefront, with the wolf fang club in hand, was already within reach of Jiang Fan. And the 10 giant kings finally all stepped within the 100-meter range. Jiang Fan took out the domain mirror and said, "Princess, enjoy the show. This is my final gift to you giants." Princess Zai Jiang looked at the oppressive mass of giants closing in within 100 meters of Jiang Fan. She frantically pounded the mirror's barrier, screaming urgently, but her voice could not escape the domain mirror. In the chaos of the battlefield, no one noticed her small figure within the mirror. And so, in her gaze, her pupils dilated sharply. Jiang Fan extended his palm with a purple pill appearing in it. With a squeeze of his 5 fingers, the pill shattered. A mighty gust of air swept through thick purple poisonous mist, engulfing a 100-meter area centered around Jiang Fan. A horrifying scene unfolded. The 2-star giant king closest to Jiang Fan was hit by the purple toxic mist first. On the spot, its skin festered, flesh turned to black water, and even its bones melted. In the blink of an eye, it became a pool of blood. It didn't even have time to scream. The heavy armor it wore crumbled to the ground with a thud, nor was it the only one. The 10 1-star and 2-star giant kings, engulfed by the toxic mist, met the same fate. They all instantly turned into pools of blood, and the clattering of armor hitting the ground echoed densely all around. The faces of 2 5-star giant kings changed drastically, shouting together, "Beware of the toxic mist! Retreat! Throw the wolf fang clubs, activate the power source. Attack from afar." Jiang Fan laughed loudly. "If the mountain won't come to me, I'll go to the mountain." "Giants, welcome to the hell of Central Earth." The white tiger beneath him roared softly, leaping into the center of the 5th Army. Jiang Fan directly detonated a smoke luo powder. Within the 100-meter radius, the 1-star and 2-star giant kings rotted instantly into mud. "Ant, seeking death," shouted a 5-star giant king angrily. This toxic mist was too vicious. It was harmless to the human clan, demon race, and Usura clan, but had devastating lethal power against the ancient giants. Their prized bronze armor couldn't block the mist at all. The white tiger roared gently and agilely leaped away to another spot. Jiang Fan once again detonated a smoke luo powder. When the heavily armored, not as agile 5-star giant kings arrived, they had already slaughtered elsewhere. Repeating this several times. In the vast 5th Army, the 1-star and 2-star giant kings were poisoned down to just 5, huddled around the 5-star giant kings. "Jiang Fan of Central Earth?" The 2 5-star giant kings were furious. In just the time of a dozen breaths, they had actually lost over 60 giants. Jiang Fan glanced at the remaining 5 1-star and 2-star giant kings, their bodies trembling, the large vertical eyes in their armor filled with terror. To them, Jiang Fan was simply a butcher. Jiang Fan did not waste time or smoke luo powder on them. "Let's go to the next location." The white tiger, hearing this, leaped towards another fierce fighting giant king army. Jiang Yishan was among them. His shoulder had been pierced by the long tongue of a giant king, leaving a bloody hole, causing him to grimace in pain. "Damn it, foolish little lord, do you think I'm a sick cat? Let me show you the might of the 5 poison extracts. You'll surely drop dead instantly, losing all ability to move. This is the treasure that Jiang Fan, that dope, dreams of obtaining. But it's your lucky day." He took out a bottle of black liquid, ready to throw it. Suddenly, a waft of purple toxic mist drifted over, enveloping the 100-meter area. Around him, 8 1-star and 2-star giant kings rotted into mud instantly. Jiang Yishan was stunned. 6 poison extracts. No, wasn't this only concocted by the Grand Masters in the poisonous world? His face broke into joy, and he quickly saluted. Which preeminent master of the poison path has made a move? Junior Jiang Yishan pays respects to the master. Encountering a poison path master in a foreign land, what a rare and delightful occasion. Under Jiang Yishan's respectful gaze, a massive white tiger emerged from the purple mist. On the tiger's head, Jiang Fan held purple thunder in his right hand and smoke luo powder in his left. After scanning the surroundings to confirm safety, he looked down at Jiang Yishan on the ground and said, "Brother Jiang, there's no need for such formalities." Jiang Yishan's eyes widened. "Was it you who released the 6 Gu poison?" Jiang Fan tossed the smoke luo powder in his hand over. "Take it for self-defense." Jiang Yishan caught it in one go, his eyes bulging. "The smoke luo powder of 6 Gu poison. Isn't this from the poison origin scripture?" Jiang Fan took out another one, placing it in his palm, ready to throw it at any moment. He said in surprise, "Isn't that obvious? If the poison origin scripture wasn't yours, where would I get the smoke luo powder?" Jiang Yishan said, "Give me a moment. You're saying you used my poison origin scripture to concoct a 6 Gu poison that even I couldn't?" Jiang Fan was shocked. "So you couldn't concoct a 6 Gu? No way, no way. This is the poison origin scripture you taught me." Jiang Yishan was fuming, his face flushed as he said, "That's impossible. The poison concocted according to the poison origin scripture caps at 3 Gu level." "Where did you get the 6 Gu?" Jiang Fan shrugged. "Isn't it simple? Just use a small magical treasure to concentrate the 3 Gu poison into a 6 Gu, isn't that it? Isn't that how you do it?" Can a small magical treasure really concentrate it to 6 Gu? Then what does all his hard-earned domain cultivation count for? His vision darkened, unable to catch his breath. He almost fainted on the spot. "All right, Brother Jiang, if you survive this battle, I'll share my insights on the no-self dust-cleansing technique with you. Consider it a thanks for your help in the Battle of Central Earth." Only then did Jiang Yishan recover, angrily saying, "I'm not the least bit interested in your insights. I can gain insights on my own. HMPH." As young men who would willingly submit to the other, Jiang Fan smiled faintly. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air rushed towards them. It was 2 of the 5th Army's heavenly human 5 declines, who had removed their heavy armor, reverting to their peak speed state, roaring as they pursued Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan remained unfazed, his gaze fixed on the distant 4th Army. "Go!" The white tiger was already prepared, leaping into another fierce battlefield. Young Master Xiang and 10 other worldly warriors were engaged in an intense battle with the 4th Army. To be exact, it was young Master Xiang alone holding off the entire army. With one sword sweep, several giant kings, along with their armor and bodies, were sliced in half. One of the 2 5-star giant kings had already fallen. Despite being outnumbered 8-1, the giant kings were completely held back by a single man and his sword. He had the aura of one sword stopping 1,000,000 soldiers. Seeing Jiang Fan approaching, he slashed again with his sword, saying, "Go elsewhere." "I alone am enough here." Jiang Fan's heart trembled slightly. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope arose in his heart. Since young Master Xiang can face an army alone, they just need to deal with the other 4 armies, and he still had 15 pieces of smoke luo powder in hand. If used properly, it could decimate the 1-star and 2-star giant kings of the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st armies. By then, only about 60 of the 3-star and above giant kings would remain, and the 1-star and 2-star giant kings would also be reduced to around 60. Altogether, it would be just over 100. The allied forces of Central Earth and the Otherworld could barely handle that. His eyes lit up with joy. Central Earth could be saved. As long as the remaining majority of 1-star and 2-star giant kings were killed, Central Earth would have the strength to fight. "Go," he rode the white tiger, charging excitedly into the 3rd Army. Without a word, he threw out the smoke luo powder, causing clusters of giant kings to collapse immediately. Then he continued to toss the smoke luo powder in various directions. The entire 3rd Army was wiped out as planned, with a total of 51-star and 2-star giant kings poisoned to death. "Jiang Fan!" Angry roars echoed throughout the 3rd Army. The 2 5-star giant kings pursuing him also roared furiously. If this continued, it might lead to a turnaround. Princess Zaijiang also screamed hysterically, kicking the barrier of the domain mirror. "Jiang Fan, you will die a horrible death." She watched helplessly as Jiang Fan slaughtered almost all the 1-star and 2-star giant kings in the 5th and 3rd Armies. In a short time, the number of giant kings he had killed surpassed the sum of all previous battles. Who taught him the poison technique that granted him wings, that needed to be fried in oil in punishment? What worried Princess Zai Jiang more was the possibility that Central Earth might really turn the tables. If Jiang Fan continued his slaughter, the heavenly realm would surely lose. "Jiang Daoyu, help!" an elderly voice called out. Jiang Fan looked over, his pupils slightly constricted. It was Ming Yi. He was at the edge of the second army, simultaneously besieged by 4 one-star giant kings. Facing forces 4 times his own, having just broken through to the Usura King realm, how could he hold on? Within just a few rounds, his crown was shattered. The old body was simultaneously entangled by the long tongues of 2 giant kings around his head and legs. They only needed to exert force to have him torn limb from limb. Jiang Fan dared not linger. Riding the white tiger, he teleported to the scene, crushing the smoke luo powder in his hand on the spot. Under the poisonous mist, the 2 giant kings didn't have time to sever Ming Yi Usura King and were turned into sludge on the spot. Jiang Fan leapt over, catching Ming Yi Usura King just in time. Looking at the broken crown on his forehead, he comforted, "Ming Yi Daoyu, thank you for your service to Central Earth," as he was speaking. Suddenly, a pain pierced his chest. Unexpectedly, Ming Yi Usura King, without any warning, thrust a palm into Jiang Fan's chest. But due to the presence of the black dragon armor, the crown-level Ming Yi Usura King couldn't pierce through. Realizing the difficulty, he decisively snatched a space storage device and quickly darted away. He halted near the third army. The giant kings of the third army parted to create a path. A pair of Usura clan, clad in black robes and surrounded by Yin Qi, stepped out. They were none other than the heavenly sword siblings. Jiang Fan's eyes filled with killing intent. "It's you." He had been wondering where the heavenly sword siblings had gone. Turns out they had joined forces with the giant kings. Thus, Ming Yi Usura King's odd behavior was explained. Fixing his gaze, Ming Yi Usura King appeared puppet-like, just like Green Pearl, who was once controlled. Heavenly Sword laughed triumphantly. Didn't expect I still had a talent I hadn't used, huh?" He took the space storage device from Ming Yi Usura King's hand, shook it by his ear, and teased. "Sorry, I'll be keeping this dangerous poison for you." True Word Venerable's expression slightly changed. Seeing that Jiang Fan had found hope for a turnaround, this Usura ruined everything. Jiang Fan, without hesitation, summoned the Tai Chu prison sky gourd. Seeing the gourd, Heavenly Sword showed a hint of fear but wasn't overly concerned, snorting. "No need to scare me. When you used this gourd at the flow boundary desolation, it exposed its flaw. And that is, you must know the other's name. And I'm sorry, Heavenly Sword is my alias in the world. My real name isn't Heavenly Sword. Is that so?" Jiang Fan's gaze darkened. If that's not his name, then he truly can't do anything to him. True Word Venerable's eyes subtly shifted, silently spreading his domain, then asked, "Then what is your name?" Sword swept towards the True Words, a smirk playing at the corner of his mouth, teasing in his heart. "Why should I tell you?" However, the words poised on his lips suddenly changed to, "My name is." The Heavenly Sword quickly regained his senses, stopping himself in time, and said in a deep voice, "Your domain can manipulate people's speech. Thankfully, you are only in the heavenly human's second decline, otherwise I would have truly fallen for it today." A cold sweat broke out on him. A standalone True Word domain is not terrifying. One could even say it's not threatening at all. But if combined with the Tai Chu prison sky gourd, it becomes something lethal. Failing to extract the name, the True Word Venerable remained undeterred, slowly and calmly taking out the jade paper heavenly book from her bosom. She held the jade book with both hands, silently reciting a spell, as layer upon layer of invisible airwaves surged from the jade paper heavenly book, swirling around her. The surging air made her yellow dress flutter up and down, and her black hair lightly swayed. Her eyes became even more dazzling, with a faint flicker of law undulating within. Her red lips slightly parted, her ethereal voice carried a trace of elusive meaning. "Reveal your true name!" The nearly commanding words radiated outward. The Heavenly Sword was once again enveloped by the domain, and he smirked coldly in his heart, simply staying silent. Unexpectedly, an order like heaven's will caused his mouth to open uncontrollably. "Dong! Fang!" Having uttered 2 characters, his expression changed drastically, but fortunately Tian Qin reacted swiftly. A palm struck his mouth, forcibly stopping the words. "Brother, let's leave first. This woman is dangerous," Tian Qin said urgently. The heavenly sword also got frightened, hurriedly using instantaneous movement to escape. The true word venerable frowned deeply, yet another failure. This was already leveraging the power of the world artifact, the jade paper heavenly book, reaching the extent where words are followed by law. They had become cautious. It would be very difficult to extract his name again. Watching them leave, the true word venerable looked at Jiang Fan with a face full of apology. Unexpectedly, after some contemplation, Jiang Fan activated the orange gourd and tried. Dongfang Tianjian! With a whoosh, an orange chain shot out immediately, winding around the heavenly sword which had retreated among the ancient giants. Jiang Fan's eyes sparkled with joy. Indeed, Dongfeng is a surname of the Dark Shura clan's royal family. As for Tianjian, Tianqin, and Tianji, it's obvious that these are their given names. Together it forms the true name. The heavenly sword's face turned drastically pale, summoning a bone blade emitting yin qi, slashing down violently. The chain did not budge an inch. The heavenly sword panicked and quickly said, "Wait, don't kill me, I'll return your smoke luo powder." Jiang Fan's eyes gleamed coldly, not believing a word he said. He was merely stalling for time, waiting for the 2 5-star giant kings from the 5th Army to come. "Collect, no, please no." With a swoosh amidst the heavenly sword's terrified scream, he was drawn into the gourd like a wisp of smoke. "Brother!" Tianqin let out a sharp scream, using instantaneous movement to try and snatch away the gourd. But the white tiger slapped, sending her flying out of the instantaneous movement, her 4-crowned Usura king body tearing open with several hideous wounds, blood scattering through the air. Jiang Fan held the gourd, feeling no joy at all, because the smoke luo powder was on the heavenly sword, and it had been taken into the gourd together. Facing the tumultuous advancing 3rd Army and sensing the terrifying aura of 2 5-star giant kings behind him, listening to the countless despairing roars of the human clan, demon race, and Usura clan, Jiang Fan looked up at the silent sky. The overcast sky, it was not clear when the torrential rain began to fall. It soaked his clothes, also extinguishing the hope in his heart. Rainwater streamed over his face, sliding down his chin. "HMPH, heh heh." His shoulders shook as he chuckled bitterly. "My central earth did not perish because of the ancient dark creatures." The true word venerable heard the immense unwillingness and grief. If their only enemy were the ancient dark creatures, Central Earth would have won long ago. They suffered successive blows as unknown conspirators used the state-level teleportation array to bring giants to the battlefield prematurely, and the covert attack by the Dark Shura clan's heavenly sword, thus extinguishing the last spark of hope for Central Earth, plunging back into darkness. Despite sacrificing so many people, in the end, the fate remained the same. Those martyrs rushing to their doom like moths to a flame. Did they all die in vain? She looked at Jiang Fan, who was laughing bitterly amidst the rain, feeling indescribable sadness. She had witnessed this man venturing alone into the Black Sun royal court to learn about the giants, returning alive against all odds. Also witnessed his desperate rescue of a Zinguan venerable just for a slim chance of victory for Central Earth. Moreover, she saw him, with only a nascent soul body, taking on 4 giant kings, fighting for a sliver of hope. Now giving everything he had, returning with glory from the ancient hunt. Yet, reality only subjected this man to relentless cruel twists. Jiang Fan! The true word venerable's eyes were slightly red as she gently held his hand. "You've done enough. It's just, our Central Earth's fate has come to an end." Jiang Fan's bitter smile deepened. He took out a 9-colored crystal, the 9-colored thunderbolt upon it casting an ever-changing glow on his face. He glanced around at the beings locked in intense battle, teetering on the brink. Gazed at the homeland about to fall with a sadness that words couldn't express. Finally, he looked at the woman beside him. "Will you accompany this emotionless man to our deaths?" With tears, the true word venerable nodded softly. "Yes, I will accompany you." She held Jiang Fan's hand tightly. 2 figures leaning quietly on one another in the rain at the end of the road. Jiang Fan clenched the 9-colored crystal. If Central Earth is beyond saving, then take as many giants into hell as he can. Rumble, suddenly, the rumble of mountains moving shook the world. An ancient, desolate atmosphere swept across the 4 directions. At the end of the sky, 6 towering ancient stone tablets slowly approached. On the stone tablets, names of historic brilliance were engraved. Central Earth's medicine venerate ancient heart sage's tomb. Central Earth's Confucian venerate Wenchen sage's tomb. Central Earth's war venerate Wuji sage's tomb. Jiang Fan turned to look, his eyes filled with surprise and doubt. The lecherous sage emerged from the jade paper heavenly book in the hand of the true word venerable, looking at those ancient stone tablets with complex emotions. So these old friends also perished in the war 1,000 years ago, implying that these were sages who died in the ancient war. But who is that? Dragging the tombstones of 6 sages with a mortal body, is he mad? The residual laws of the sages will kill him. Jiang Fan looked in the direction, surprised. Only then did he realize the reason why the 6 tombstones were moving was because of an elder on the land, carrying the tombstones as he moved forward. He was an old man in gray hemp clothing, with a rabbit the size of a calf following closely beside him. It wasn't just anyone. It was the forgetful wild elder of returning ruined state, a heavenly human 5 declines venerate. Tombstones staggering with each step. Every step was exceedingly arduous. His once salt and pepper hair had somehow turned as white as snow. His eyes had lost their luster. He was blind. The divine rings of the heavenly human 5 declines at the back of his head had all shattered, releasing a putrid smell. Even his soul was fragmented, making it hard to control his body. Jiang Fan's pupils constricted dramatically. The last time he saw forgetful wild elder, the man was still vigorous, but now he seemed on the verge of destruction. Was it because of carrying the tombstones of the 6 great sages, having been eroded by their laws? In front of forgetful wild elder was an 18-year-old beautiful girl walking along. She twirled her eyes of 9 colors, observing the battlefield ahead. In her hand, she held a stick, with the other end tied to forgetful wild elder. "Are we there?" Forgetful wild elder's voice was hoarse, like wind blowing through a broken tube. Tears welled up in Yue Mingzhu's eyes as she choked. "We're here, master." Forgetful wild elder finally stopped, saying, "Point the way for me, my disciple." Tears streamed down Yue Mingzhu's face as she said, 30 miles southwest, luck is low there, a portent of great danger." She grasped the stick and moved towards the southwest. Forgetful wild elder nodded his head. His shoulders shook as he murmured, "Go!" A stone steel shot up with a roar, crashing into the place where luck was low. This was where the Third Army was stationed, the most precarious battlefield, where the Central Earth and coalition forces were surrounded and deeply trapped. The stone steel howled and crushed the void as it teleported over, then slammed hard into the ground. From within the steel, the remaining laws of the sages immediately radiated in all directions, whether it was the 1-star giant king or the 5-star giant king. Whichever one it swept over shattered into a blood mist. In an instant, the sky was stained black with giant blood, the ground a river of blood, and a nearly complete Third Army was wiped out. Only 20 or so, who were far apart, narrowly escaped. Jiang Fan, true word venerable, and the other worldly powerhouses were also affected by the laws as they swept over. Luckily, it only made their blood churn and greatly reduced their vitality without directly endangering their lives. They gazed in shock at the steel before them, a renewed light of hope in their once despairing eyes. There were 5 steels left. Wouldn't they be able to wipe out the giants? Lecherous sage sighed instead. He can't hold on for much longer. The laws have already destroyed everything of his, as expected. After throwing a steel, forgetful wild elder trembled and knelt on one knee. Yue Mingzhu said mournfully, "Master, you." She wanted to plead with her master to put down the steel, but what about Central Earth? The only one who could turn the tide was the sage's tombstone, prepared for more than 50 years by her master. Forgetful wild elder shook his head. "Don't worry about me. When I accepted the favor of the 6 sages' remnants, I promised them to bring their tombstones to aid Central Earth for the last time at its most desperate hour. The Giant King's army has gathered in the Hanuan state. Central Earth's end is upon us. My mission is also about to be fulfilled." As soon as he finished speaking, his abdomen ulcerated and rotten intestines spilled out. The 6 stone steels were constantly harming his body, but he had no regrets. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. "Point the way once more." Tears poured down Yue Mingzhu's face like rain. This was why she didn't return to the Taikang state with Jiang Fan back then. She needed to do something for her master in the returning ruined state. Her master said to use her emperor's gaze technique on the battlefield. But he didn't tell her it was to replace his eyes, to point the way for him, ensuring the tombstones would be used to their maximum potential. Nor did he tell her that her master would die. She choked back tears. "Straight south, 60 miles. Forgetful wild elder's body trembled again, and another stone steel flew out, crashing into the Second Army. Witnessing the tragedy of the Third Army, they were somewhat prepared and fled. Yet 20 giant kings were still killed on the spot. Once more, cough, cough, Forgetful Wild Elder collapsed onto the ground, coughing up countless black blood. He was already at his wit's end. Yue Mingzhu bit her lip. Southeast, 40 miles. Forgetful Wild Elder did not immediately make a move. He felt that his final moment was imminent, that he would die as soon as he cast the stone steel. With his dull eyes looking at the Yue Mingzhu before him, he affectionately said, "As your master leaves upon completing his mission, there is no need for regret, but what of you? You came to the returning ruins state alone. And once I'm gone, you'll be alone again." Yue Mingzhu covered her red lips, stifling her sobs. Even as death approached, her master's greatest concern was her future. Through tears, she choked, "Master, don't worry, Jang Fan has already promised to marry me." In Forgetful Wild Elder's bleak eyes, a glimmer of light seemed to flash as he smiled. "Good, good, then I am assured. He who once slew a half-giant for the people of the 7 cities of Heavenly Abyss will surely protect you at all costs. Your master is at peace. This great white rabbit shall be entrusted to you. The legacy within the ruins is all on it. Your master has no more regrets. Life smolders as your master departs first." With a low roar, he used his last ounce of strength to send out the remaining 4 steels from his body. Rumble, 4 stone steels crashed near the First Army. The crisscrossing power of laws left the giant kings of the First Army with nowhere to escape. From the 1-star giant king to the 5-star giant king, they all exploded into a mist of blood. An entire legion utterly annihilated, none survived, and Forgetful Wild Elder lay on the ground devoid of all life. "Master!" Yue Mingzhu dropped the stick, rushing to Forgetful Wild Elder's side, unable to hold back her anguished wails any longer. This heavenly human 5 declines great venerate, known by so few, had fallen quietly beyond the battlefield in a manner known only to a handful. With his life, he had projected the remnants of the 6 sages will onto the battlefield, rekindling a hope for Central Earth. Jiang Fan's eyes reddened. How has humble Central Earth endured for thousands of years? It's because at every critical moment in history, there have always been such predecessors, carrying their missions, who gave their lives without hesitation, to illuminate the already dark sky over Central Earth with their lives anew. He turned away, looking at the remnants of the Third Army, a surge of murderous intent within. "Go to hell, all of you!" He drew the angel's blade, flashing over to a wounded, fallen 3-star giant king. With anger, he drove it into him. The 3-star giant king furiously lashed his long tongue out, ready to kill Jiang Fan. But the tongue touched the angel's blade. The result was as if it had caught fire, the holy flames spreading from the tongue instantly to the mouth, then penetrating within. Next, without any suspense, the 3-star giant king exploded into spots of holy light before he could even scream. "Angel's blade!" Suddenly, a gasp came from beside him. It was Tian Qin, lying injured on the ground. She looked at the angel's blade in disbelief. Fan looked over coldly, almost forgetting about this woman. The white tiger understood, let out a low growl and pounced, opening its bloody mouth to bite. "Hold on, just subdue her," Jiang Fan said. The white tiger immediately switched to a paw, slapping at her. Tian Qin attempted to escape, but was still pinned to the ground by the white tiger's paw. Jiang Fan took out the immortal binding vine, binding her both inside and out. "Kill me if you want." Tian Qin glared at Jiang Fan with hatred, unafraid of death. Jiang Fan picked her up and discovered the immortal binding vine was indeed extraordinary. It not only bound the physical body, but also sealed her innate bloodline and all her Asura power. Noticing Tian Qin's gaze, Jiang Fan glared back coldly. "Who said I was letting you go? Keeping you is to offer your head and your brothers in sacrifice to the dead spirits after the battle ends. The casualties in Central Earth are the fault of you Dark Shura clan. Without the armor you provided, without the sneak attack of the Heavenly Sword, this battle wouldn't have been so difficult. The Forgetful Wild Elder wouldn't have had to sacrifice himself." After saying this, he threw her into the space mirror and said, "Rebellious guy, watch her closely, don't let her commit suicide. Later, I want to carve her into 1,000 pieces." From the space mirror came Rebellious Guy's voice. "Okay, big brother, I will take good care of her." Soon after, cries of agony from Tian Qin echoed from inside the space mirror. Jiang Fan put away the mirror, overlooking the entire scene. The appearance of 6 stone steels completely changed the course of the battle. The First Army was annihilated. The Second Army had over 50 giant kings left. The Third Army had 20 giant kings left. The fourth army had only young Master Xiang to deal with, and the fifth army had 20 left. There were only 90 giant kings remaining. In terms of numbers, the 100 Realms Alliance army still held a slight advantage. So everyone's spirit was lifted, turning despair into renewed fighting spirit. The sounds of slaughter rose again on the battlefield. Jiang Fan's gaze was fierce, holding the angel's blade, riding the white tiger as he leapt into the battlefield. With the 100 Realms Alliance army's momentum unstoppable, the giant kings were continuously hit by poisonous mist and destructive attacks, losing their previous overwhelming momentum. Instead, they were forced to retreat repeatedly by the Human Race Alliance army. Especially when they saw Jiang Fan charging, the 1-star and 2-star giant kings turned and ran, not daring to fight at all. The white tiger, the young man, the poisonous mist. The combination of 3 elements became a terrifying shadow for them. A few 5-star giant kings shouted repeatedly, trying to stabilize the giant kings, but with little effect. One side had high morale, while the other's fighting spirit was low. The collapse of the giant kings was only a matter of time. In the sky, the sages watching the battle on the ground were also filled with excitement and emotion. The great wine sacrifice looked at the body of the forgetful wild elder, showing a face of sorrow. Glancing again at the 6th-son giant emperor, his eyes flashed cold. "It is you of the heavenly realm who lost." The 6th-son giant emperor's gaze was incredibly gloomy. He couldn't believe that an army of 400 giant kings against an alliance army of 100 would end with the defeat of the giant kings. He had calculated everything, except for Jiang Fan having so much poisonous mist to counter the ancient giants, and had not expected an obscure great venerate to sacrifice himself to carry the sage's tombstone. If there were a few among the giant kings like this, the battle might have been different. He closed his eyes, full of unwillingness. After mobilizing all of the southern heavenly realms' forces for one final push, it still ended in a crushing defeat. But does Central Earth think it's over? Dream on. Even if I have to exhaust the southern heavenly realm, I will destroy your Central Earth. The 6th-son giant emperor roared ferociously. Everyone down. Hualala, above the connecting sky-black pillar, the blood clouds flickered. Groups of ancient giants, ranging from 10 to several dozen zhang tall, poured down like a torrential rain. The ground reverberated with their crash. In the blink of an eye, there were already over 1,000 nascent soul realm ancient giants near the connecting sky-black pillar. But this was just the beginning. Half a stick of incense later. As far as the eye could see, there were countless ancient giants, numbering over 10,000. Jiang Fan gasped in shock. The heavenly realm actually had so many ancient giants. These must be the giants from the central tribe. They had only dispatched the giant kings, while the ancient giants had never descended before. Only in the final moments were they brought out as a trump card. What made Jiang Fan even more horrified was that some of the ancient giants carried a bottle filled with crimson liquid. It was the blood pool from the ancient abyss, capable of transforming other races into ancient giants. The 6th-son giant emperor's eyes showed determination. These are the last embers of my southern heavenly realm. If they are extinguished in 1,000 years, our southern heavenly realm will no longer be able to wage war on you. I didn't want to use them, but to destroy your central earth, it's worth it. Kill. The endless tide of ancient giants fiercely charged at the 100 Realms Alliance army. Even though they were all in the divinity transformation realm and could use instantaneous movement, they couldn't withstand being surrounded by ancient giants from heaven and earth. Moreover, the giant kings were also interfering with them. In the instant the tide engulfed them, swaths of ancient giants were annihilated. But almost simultaneously, a roar was heard. It was a divinity transformation demon monarch from Central Earth who was attacked by several ancient giants in succession. One of them threw a blood bottle, hitting him with no escape. The blood pool inside instantly corroded him away. This was the outcome of a failed transformation. Shortly after, another shout from a giant king was heard. Another demon monarch from Central Earth was hit. Worse, he was successfully transformed into a giant king and immediately attacked his comrades nearby. Jiang Fan was fiercely slaughtering the wave of ancient giants, extremely careful of those carrying the blood. Other races might require several attempts to be successfully transformed. But for the human clan, just one touch ensures a successful transformation. Upon hearing someone was transformed into a giant king, his expression changed, and he immediately tried to flash over with the holy crystal in hand. But the skies were filled with ancient giants, and even he struggled to survive. The 100 Realms Alliance army, which had just gained an advantage, immediately suffered massive casualties under the suicidal impact of the ancient giant tide. They retreated step by step, trying to escape the tide. But the giant kings seized the opportunity to entangle them, leaving nowhere to run. The powerful figures from various realms immediately fell into a huge crisis. Jiang Fan's expression was grave. If this continued, none of them would escape death. The six-sun giant emperor gazed at the dwindling swarms of ancient giants with anguish. In front of divinity transformation realm beings, they were as fragile as grass, reaped by the dozens to hundreds. In a short time, over 1,000 had already perished. But the 100 Realms Alliance army's situation was even more dangerous. His eyes shone brightly, coldly saying, "It is our southern heavenly realm that has won. The 1,000-year resistance of your central earth should come to an end." Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly looked around. The sages of the human clan also scanned the surroundings with puzzled expressions, because they sensed the vast energy between heaven and earth sharply decreasing. Someone was making a wish, a great wish to heaven and earth. Jiang Fan also suddenly sensed something unusual. Before he could grasp it, a misty and majestic voice covered the entire battlefield. "All except the giant king on the battlefield come to Wenhai Academy." As the words fell, Jiang Fan, True Word Venerable, White Tiger, and the distant Central Earth and Otherworld strongmen were all enveloped by a force of space. Swoosh! In an instant, they vanished from the ancient giant tide, successfully escaping. Jiang Fan only felt the world spin around him. When his feet touched the ground, he found himself in an academy hidden amidst a bamboo grove. It turned out to be Wenhai Academy, protected by a sage-level array. In the courtyard, regardless of whether they were heavenly person declines or various great venerates, they were all transported here without exception. "Zinguan, why didn't you act earlier? So much vast energy, if you had made a wish earlier, our previous battle wouldn't have been so difficult." Red Demon Venerable, clutching his severed arm, couldn't help but question. Not only him, but several great venerates also looked at the blue-robed, middle-aged man standing with his hands behind his back in the courtyard with frowns. As the great venerate of Hanuan state present here, he hadn't shown himself throughout, which was inexcusable. Zinguan Venerable turned around, gazing at them solemnly. His eyes briefly glanced over them, and only then did he force a slight smile, relaxedly saying, "Casualties are far lower than expected. Fortunate for Central Earth." "I'm asking you a question," Red Demon Venerable said, displeased. Finally turning to Red Demon Venerable, with sensing from the Confucian lineage, he guessed the other's identity. He cupped his hands and said, "Red Demon Elder, since the defeat of Central Earth a millennium ago, Hanuan State has been preparing for today." He lifted his foot and stomped down on the ground. Crack, crack, the entire ground of Wenhai Academy cracked open, with land, houses, and grass all destroyed. But what was revealed underground wasn't the imagined magma and such. They were wish fruits. Indeed, one after another, countless wish fruits. They piled up like mountains, filling the entire underground of Wenhai Academy, reaching deep down. Red Demon Venerable was astonished. So many wish fruits? The so-called wish fruits are the sealed vast energy from Confucian, great cultivators of the nascent soul realm, and above before their demise. There were upwards of 1,000 wish fruits. Zinguan Venerable looked at the wish fruits underground, his face adorned with respect, saying, 10,000 years of war, 1,000 years of cyclical calamity, generation after generation tormented in suffering. Our Confucian lineage prides itself on opening peace for ages and inheriting the studies of past saints. Yet, the past saints are unseen, peace is unattainable, betraying the teachings of Confucian forefathers to us descendants. Thus, the Confucian great venerates a millennium ago vowed to completely eradicate the giant threat, formulating a plan to exterminate the ancient giants. Named Spring Mud, everyone silently murmured. Spring Mud, what is this plan, worthy of 1,000 years of preparation by a state's Confucian practitioners? Zinguan Venerable said casually, this plan is primordial land sinking. Together with all the ancient giants, sink into the void and forever leave the sky above Central Earth. Rumble, as if countless thunderbolts were exploding overhead, leaving everyone's minds blank. What do Confucian practitioners intend to do? Sinking an entire Hanuan state, Red Demon Venerable trembled slightly, scolding, "Are you mad? Sinking an entire state, will the saints spare you?" Zinguan Venerable smiled with relief. "When making the grand wish for primordial land sinking, presumably I will not be around." Everyone was in unspeakable shock, their throats as if blocked, unable to speak. Indeed, such an ultimate grand wish of sinking a state surely comes with a price. No wonder Zinguan Venerable did not act throughout. He needed to maintain his physical condition to prepare for the wish-making. Only this way could he make the wish before dying. Red Demon Venerable's aged eyes reddened, looking at the wish fruits beneath his feet. This was not just vast energy. Clearly, it was the will that Confucian practitioners carried on for a millennium. It's the lasting blessings of generation after generation of Confucian practitioners for people far distant in the future. The future they didn't reach, they hoped later generations would see. Zinguan! Red Demon Venerable's old tears fell. He trembled forward, grasping his arm. A huge sense of shame surged in his heart. I'm sorry. It's the fault of our generation. We exhausted Central Earth, creating a golden era, yet failed to defeat the heavenly realm, leaving you with endless distress. Now, still requiring this generation of yours to constantly sacrifice yourselves. Sorry. Zinguan Venerable held her arm, shaking his head. The forefathers have done their utmost. So many sages fallen, countless unnamed martyrs forever resting. How dare we blame it on future generations? Now, let us descendants inherit your legacy, completely eradicate ancient giants, removing threats for our next generation forever. Red Demon Venerable's guilt was beyond words. Recalling how she had just accused Red Demon Venerable of standing by, she was even more ashamed. Her eyes were determined, she said, "Let me make the wish then. The battle unfinished a millennium ago, let me this old bones end it." Zinguan Venerable patted her arm with a gentle smile. "Elder, you've been tired for 1,000 years, take a good rest. Besides, such a grand wish can only be made by the heavenly human 5 declines." After speaking, he swept his gaze around, seeing Jiang Fan and True Word Venerable clinging to Jiang Fan's arm. A glint of clarity appeared in his eyes. The final worry could also be set aside. True Word Venerable parted her red lips. She too was moved by Zinguan Venerable and Hanuan State's millennium plan. However, thinking of the grievances Zinguan Venerable caused to her mother, she turned away, walking in another direction. Jiang Fan reached out to grab her. Zinguan Venerable was about to die, and yet she was so persistent. "Let it be, let her." Zinguan Venerable came over, smiling with relief as he patted his shoulder. "Good lad, really underestimated you. You're far more outstanding than I imagined." Though he wasn't on the battlefield, his paper figure avatar was always present. He watched firsthand how Jiang Fan used his domain and poison mist, twice reversing the dire situation, and how he returned under the spotlight of hunting first place. Every miraculous act left him with bountiful emotions. The little rascal who took advantage of his daughter back then is now a hero saving Central Earth. Jiang Fan said, "It's the blue wish paper you sent that played a great role. Without that wish paper, he might not have returned to Central Earth, much less bring so many back together." Zinguan Venerable shook his head. "If the same wish paper was given to someone else, would they definitely achieve your level? Jiang Fan, you will go far in the future. If possible, please take True Word with you. If one day you lose interest, it doesn't matter. Let her go, don't bully her, all right? She has no family left in this world." Jiang Fan's throat choked. Before dying, Zinguan Venerable's strongest concern was always his daughter. Jiang Fan pointed at his divine ring, his voice deep. "Elder, I will never betray her." Zinguan Venerable laughed. "Thanks." Jiang Fan, who cultivates a flawless domain having promised, would certainly not break it. He could rest assured. Rumble. At the horizon's end, the ancient giant tide surged forward. Zinguan Venerable, hands behind his back, approached the array and said, "Do you know why the plan is called Spring Mud, Jiang Fan?" Jiang Fan pondered for a moment, then said, "Fallen flowers are not heartless. They turn into spring mud to nurture more flowers." "Does it refer to the spring mud in this poem?" Zinguan Venerable turned back, smiling at everyone, and looked around. His gaze seemed to transcend Hanuan State, seeing the beings of the other 8 states. Why has Central Earth not perished for 10,000 years, continuously flourishing? It's because one generation after another sacrifices themselves, transforming into spring mud, nourishing future generations. Today, it's my turn. Jiang Fan's eyes reddened slightly, asking, "Isn't there another way?" Zinguan Venerable said calmly, "Perhaps there is. But this is the best opportunity. All the giant kings of the heavenly realm, and the vast majority of nascent soul giants are in Hanuan State. When they die, the giants will never become a threat again." At this point he paused, then said, "By the way, don't feel guilty for interfering in the great wine sacrifice. which caused the 9-day giant emperor to target it in advance. To lure all the giants to descend upon Hanuan state, the great wine sacrifice had already decided to expose itself early. Without saving you, it would have exposed itself because of something else. Jiang Fan was dumbfounded. Only then did he understand that Hanuan state's defeat was part of the Spring Mud plan. Only by making Hanuan state the giants' main battlefield, attracting the main force of the ancient giants, would the primordial land sinking be meaningful. Rumble, the tide of ancient giants drew closer. Led by over 100 giant kings, they charged aggressively towards Wenhai Academy. Looking out, the towering giants stretched endlessly like mountains. This was the main force of the heavenly giants. They, unstoppable, would rush to all the states of Central Earth, destroying all living beings. Zinguan Venerable went alone outside the array, turning his back to everyone and said, "Farewell, friends of Central Earth. This school of Wenhai Academy's restriction was set by an elder I entrusted. After the primordial land sinking, it will protect you by randomly teleporting you to other states. I hope, in the future when I'm not here, the mountains and rivers remain unharmed and time is peaceful. I'm going now." He leaped up. The wish fruits buried beneath Wenhai Academy rose into the air, surrounding him as he leaped upwards. The vast energy within him surged out like a tsunami. Jang Fan looked up at Zinguan Venerable, feeling a sting in his nose. Suddenly his shoulder felt a slight weight. It was the forehead of the true word Venerable leaning on his shoulder. Soon, a dampness soaked his shoulder. Jiang Fan said, "Aren't you going to say a few words to him?" The true word Venerable shook her head, speaking with a sob. He went for the ideals of Confucian practitioners. I can't be his worry. She had already regretted it. If she had known Zinguan Venerable would die, perhaps she would have changed her mind and recognized him as her father. But everything came too suddenly and was too late. Jang Fan held her in his arms, saying, "Then take another look at him." The true word Venerable hesitated for a moment before slowly raising her head. Her tearful eyes gazed up at Zinguan Venerable, murmuring, "Father." Many venerables and those in the divinity transformation realm looked up. The powerful figures from the otherworld also gazed upwards, their eyes filled with respect. Young Master Xiang held a jade goblet, raised it from afar. "Qingshan buries loyal bones, Central Earth inters heroic souls. I, your emperor, toast to you. Farewell on your journey." Zinguan Venerable also triggered his wish at this time. He watched the endless tide of ancient giants ahead, his voice clear and strong. "Zinguan of Central Earth's Hanuan state makes a wish to heaven and earth. May Hanuan state sink into the void, never to return." The wishing voice echoed back and forth in the sky. "Hanuan, land sinking, never to return." After reverberating 3 times, the heavens finally responded. The vast energy Zinguan Venerable released burst into flames instantaneously. A venerable experiencing the heavenly human 5 declines, his vast energy reached 0 on the spot. But his vast energy was just a primer. It directly ignited the thick vast energy in Hanuan state's atmosphere. The wish was triggered. The entire Hanuan state began to tremble violently. Endless cracks appeared in the sky, spreading to every corner of Hanuan state. The earth split with chasm-like fissures. The atmosphere quickly dissipated, letting in streams of destructive void energy. But this was not enough. Crack, 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 the wish fruits carrying the millennia of Confucian practitioners' blessings shattered, transforming into an endless surge of vast energy that erupted. It was as if the heavens felt the persistence of this wish. A gigantic, profound force descended upon this ancient Hanuan state. Crack! A terrifying snapping sound resonated. It was the sound of the space barrier between Hanuan state and Central Earth fracturing. Crack! 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 One after another, the breaking sounds echoed incessantly at Hanuan state's borders, when all the surrounding space barriers ruptured. Hanuan state would lose its support, sinking into eternal void. The sages and giant emperors battling in the heavenly realm finally realized the great change in the heavens and earth. The 8 great wine sacrifices seemed to have anticipated this, their faces sorrowful. It has finally come to this. Zinguan, farewell on your journey. Wanyun sage, Tianluo sage, and the rosy-cheeked sage were equally shocked. Then they respectfully shouted with sorrow, "Zinguan, farewell on your journey." Nine-Nether Demon Venerable looked over, admiration filling his eyes. "In the human clan there are indeed some not-so-detestable ones. Farewell on your journey, friends of the human clan." In contrast, the expressions of the giant emperors changed drastically. The 6th-son giant emperor exclaimed in horror, "Hanuan state's madmen, a bunch of madmen." spent 1,000 years just to sacrifice their homeland and perish together with their enemies. He was in a panic. The vast majority of the giant battle strength of the heavenly realm was on Hanuan state. Once they sank with Hanuan state, it would be difficult for them to recover, and he, as the central tribe emperor, would become a sinner. He regretted it. When Jiang Fan went on a primeval hunt, he should have taken a step back. But he gambled everything in the heavenly realm just to take a chance at fate. He hadn't expected that all the people of Central Earth were mad, all damn mad. Each one didn't care for their lives. They didn't even care for their great state. At this moment, he wanted to order the giants to retreat, but it was too late. In utter despair, suddenly, he noticed within Wenhai Academy, beneath Zinguan Venerable's feet, there were 3 special beings from Central Earth. They were more than 9 Zhang tall, the short ones 6 to 7 Zhang. Dharma forms surrounded them. Upon seeing the 3, 6-son giant emperor's heart pounded wildly and his eyes lit up with joy. Heaven does not forsake our southern heavenly realm. Ha ha ha. Dare to harbor half-giants with my ancient giant bloodline, Central Earth, oh Central Earth, you're truly digging your own grave. The bloodline within him suddenly trembled. Within Wenhai Academy, the heavenly remnant city lord and 2 3-phases realm half-giants were whispering to each other. City lord, the battle is about to end. We need to consider our own future. 400 giant kings probably used our returning ruins state's state-level teleportation array. Once this is discovered, can us half-giants survive in Central Earth? The heavenly remnant city lord slapped his thigh in resentment. Damn it! Why did no one tell us that the ancient giants of the heavenly realm could influence us through bloodline? If it wasn't for this, during the heavenly realm's great hunt, the awakening of the ancient giant bloodline wouldn't have affected us lower realm half-giants, causing loss of sanity and massacres in the 7 cities of the heavenly abyss. Though compassionate sage helped cover it up, but those 400 giant kings descended upon Heavenly Heritage City, controlled us half-giants, and took us by surprise to kill Kinshin Bureau people, successfully capturing the state-level teleportation array. This matter will surely be exposed. The sages of Central Earth will not tolerate us anymore. He looked troubled, for a moment uncertain of what to do. Lord was worried. Suddenly, his body shook violently. The bloodline of the other half of the ancient giant inside him boiled like boiling water. Next, he lost control over his body. Not good, the ancient giant is trying to control me. The Heavenly Heritage City Lord muttered, and with a sidelong glance, he noticed that his 2 clansmen had already been controlled before him. Without warning, they soared into the air, using instantaneous movement towards Zinguan Venerable above their heads. But just as they made their move, a colossal palm, as big as a small mountain, smashed their bodies into pieces. A white tiger, 20 feet tall, blocked them. On its head stood Jiang Fan and True Word Venerable. Jiang Fan, still holding True Word Venerable in his arms, stared coldly at them and said in an icy tone, "I knew you ungrateful wretches wouldn't stay put." From the beginning, he never trusted the ancient giants. These turncoats, who ate their own and helped the giants on the battlefield, would Jiang Fan ignore them at such a critical moment? He had always been wary of them. Whoosh! The space beside him exploded with a sound. The Heavenly Heritage City Lord had also made a move. As a great venerable realm, his strike was catastrophic, not giving anyone a chance to react. And his target was also Zinguan Venerable. Jiang Fan's face changed. Luckily, a Big Dipper descended from the sky, pushing the Heavenly Heritage City Lord away from his instantaneous movement. A silhouette with silver hair appeared in a flash. It was the Lord of Star Mountain. If anyone in Central Earth was most wary of the half-giants besides Jiang Fan, it was the Lord of Star Mountain. The cannibalism incident in the 7 cities of the Heavenly Abyss made her extremely vigilant. The other great venerables, upon realizing, angrily turned their eyes towards the Heavenly Heritage City Lord. At a glance, they noticed the black veins protruding from the Heavenly Heritage City Lord's body, his eyes filled with beastly madness. He has lost his mind. No, he's been controlled. It's the ancient giants controlling him, trying to use him to assassinate Zinguan Venerable to stop the wish. Damn it. Can the ancient giants actually control half-giants? How did no one discover this? The face of the Lord of Star Mountain changed dramatically. Aren't the half-giants of returning ruins state also controlled? Everyone was suddenly enlightened. They finally understood how the army of 400 giant kings arrived at the battlefield in advance. It was with the help of those half-giants from Heavenly Heritage City. Only they could make the Sky Watchers of the Kinshin Bureau lower their guard. then seized the state-level teleportation array when they were unprepared. Golden Scale Venerate was burning with anger. Those bastard sons of bitches. I always said they couldn't be trusted, but the compassionate sage would constantly protect them. Now aiding the oppressors and creating a colossal disaster, compassionate sage, you must take responsibility. Jiang Fan was also furious. If it weren't for the beasts of Heavenly Heritage City helping 400 giant kings reach the battlefield. Forgetful Wild Elder wouldn't need to sacrifice himself, bearing the stone tablet to aid. Wait, he suddenly recalled the matters of the 7 cities of the Heavenly Abyss. The compassionate sage had laid down the time retrospection law in the 7 cities of the Heavenly Abyss to cover up the cannibalism of the half-giants. Also erased all memories of a female venerable, the only survivor who witnessed the entire city. When several sages questioned the compassionate sage about what he was covering up, he remained silent. Now, the answer was out. It was that the half-giants would be controlled by the ancient giants. Once this matter was exposed, the half-giants would surely be slaughtered by Central Earth. If so, as the protector of the half-giants, he would lose his source of merit and never be able to progress further in the sage realm. For the sake of a bit of his cultivation, he wouldn't hesitate to hide the truth, disregarding the safety of Central Earth. Jiang Fan couldn't hold back any longer, roaring angrily at the sky. "Compassionate old dog, do you deserve to be a sage of Central Earth?" The crowd gradually came to their senses. They all shrank their pupils dramatically, faces filled with disbelief. The compassionate sage knew everything from the beginning, yet he not only failed to warn everyone to be cautious, but deliberately protected the half-giants. Thinking about Forgetful Wild Elder's sacrifice, the last battle that shouldn't have happened, thinking about so many who fell in hatred under the iron hooves of 400 giant kings. They all turned angry. This old dog does not deserve to be a sage. Roar. The Heavenly Heritage City Lord made a move again. His actions completely angered everyone. Golden Scale Venerate, Ice Heart Venerate, Wan Bing Venerate, Jiangshan First-Class Building Owner, and Lord of Star Mountain all attacked in anger. In the sky, the angry voice of compassionate sage rang. "Stop it! This is my person, dare anyone kill him!" Damn, even now he wants to protect the Heavenly Heritage City Lord. Jang Fan, enraged, charged forward on the White Tiger. The rest of the great venerables, also overtaken by rage, had no intention of stopping and attacked en masse. The Heavenly Heritage City Lord hurriedly activated his Dharma Image Realm. While facing the giants, he wouldn't use his Dharma Image Realm, but against the people of Central Earth, he showed no mercy in unleashing it. Unfortunately, he was faced with the combined attack of all the great venerables of Central Earth. His Dharma image was instantly shattered, and his 9-meter-high body was driven into the ground, leaving only a head exposed. Under the intense tremor, the Heavenly Heritage City Lord finally broke free from control. Looking at the fierce killing intent in the faces of the great venerables, he said in horror, "Fellow Taoists, spare me. I was just controlled by the ancient giants, it wasn't my intention." A few great venerables temporarily withdrew their hands, frowning in thought. Yet only Jiang Fan, showing no mercy, thrust the angel's blade into his head and said coldly, "Explain it to your giant ancestors. Central Earth cannot accommodate you." The Heavenly Heritage City Lord roared repeatedly. "Jiang Fan, you're too ruthless. Does a half-giant not belong to Central Earth?" Jiang Fan said nothing more and thrust the angel's blade in hard. The powerful holy light infused into his body, and possessing the half-ancient giant's bloodline, he also suffered the destructive attack of the holy light. Bang, half his body turned into a mist of blood, with the remaining half buried in the ground. The enormous shattered head stared venomously at Jiang Fan. His mouth moved as if cursing Jiang Fan. But unfortunately, he couldn't say a word. After several painful struggles, finally, his head drooped powerlessly, life extinguished, and he died. Even his soul, being half-ancient giant, was destroyed by the holy light, causing it to dissipate. Even the chance to possess and repair was lost. Jiang Fan pulled out the angel's blade and said coldly, "Now you deserve to be one of Central Earth's people. Rest assured you won't be lonely. When I return from the ancient hunt, I'll send all your clansmen down to find you. None will be spared." Rumble, the surrounding ground began to sink amid the thunderous roar. The surrounding space barriers were already shattered. Hanuan state began to submerge. As tens of thousands of ancient giants swarmed towards the academy and finally sensed something was wrong. They panicked and ran back, trying to return through the connecting sky-black pillar. But how could it be that easy? Realm amidst the terrifying roar. Hanuan's state fell like a stone from the sky, plummeting rapidly. After 10 breaths, it completely detached from central Earth with a snapping sound, falling into the infinite darkness of the void. Terrifying waves of space power swept across the entire great state like a tsunami. The boundless great state instantly crumbled, torn into countless fragments of the continent. The mountains, rivers, and vegetation on it shattered in an instant, and the spirit beasts that couldn't escape were torn to pieces in a moment. The swarming ancient giants in flight were swept into the endless void by the power of nothingness. This was true for ordinary ancient giants and the giant king realm alike. Cries of despair, wails, and shouts echoed through the earth and sky. Inside the domain mirror, Princess Jiang knelt on the ground, pounding the mirror with such force that her palms were battered, and her blood flowed. "No," she screamed in despair, golden tears streaming from her eyes. "Why did it turn out like this? It was supposed to be merely a hunt for the ancient giants, but in the end it became a total rout. Those who descended to Central Earth beside the giant emperors were all lost. Never in millennia had any battle been so tragic." At this moment, she saw Jiang Fan, watching him with hands behind his back, calmly gazing at the ancient giant swarms being torn apart and swallowed by the void. She was furiously enraged and shouted, "Jiang Fan, are you happy now? You and Central Earth have won." Jiang Fan looked up at the sky, shaking his head slightly. "How can I be happy? My former master, Yunyang Master, is dead, and a solemn elder, Ning Kun, is also gone. Heavenly listening Bodhisattva, both enemy and friend, is gone too. The forgetful wild elder who favored me has died too. Now even Zinguan Venerable, whom I respected the most, is about to die. You tell me, how can I possibly be happy?" Jiang Fan lowered his head, slowly looking at her, his reddened eyes full of unwavering killing intent. "Remember what I said before the battle." Princess Jiang glared at Jiang Fan with hatred, a memory involuntarily surfacing, her body trembling as her pupils contracted dramatically. Jiang Fan held the domain mirror close to his face, letting Princess Jiang see the ice-cold depths within his eyes. "It seems you've remembered. I once said that one day I would counterattack the heavenly realm and let your ancient giants experience the feeling of being hunted. Those who kill will always be killed in return. When you see us as cattle and sheep, you should be prepared to become cattle and sheep yourselves." Princess Jiang trembled violently. At that time, she had mocked Jiang Fan's words, because the hope that Central Earth would even survive this catastrophe was slim. However, Central Earth won, and the heavenly realm suffered a miserable defeat. Now she couldn't laugh anymore. Every word this man said was gradually coming true. The counterattack against the heavenly realm, the hunt for the ancient giants, would soon be realized. Princess Jiang shook her head. "No, you won't succeed. With the giant emperors around, whoever heads for the heavenly realm will die." Jiang Fan's gaze was profound as he pointed at the pillar of light above. "Do you know what it can bring?" Princess Jiang replied. "The peace monument, but it can only spare you from the next millennium's battle." "It cannot help you resist the giant emperors?" Jiang Fan laughed. "Does Central Earth still need the peace monument? Do we wait until a millennium later for you to invade again? The misfortune of Central Earth should end with our generation. I will sell the peace monument to worlds in need, on the condition that all their sages come to serve Central Earth. I will not rest until the heavenly realm is destroyed." Princess Jiang's pupils shrank to a pin. As smart as she had already judged the feasibility of this plan. Many worlds needed a peace monument, even if it meant sacrificing a few sages. No world would refuse to send their sages to help annihilate the southern heavenly realm. "No, please don't," Princess Jiang pleaded, trembling all over. "The heavenly realm is left with only the old, weak women and children. Spare them, please." "I beg of you," Jiang Fan replied expressionlessly. "The old, weak women and children? When strong, you see the beings of Central Earth as cattle and sheep. When weak, you seek sympathy as the old, weak women and children. To me, giants only come in two kinds. Those who are alive and those who are dead," Princess Jiang urgently said. "Jiang Fan, I apologize on behalf of the giants to Central Earth. Please be lenient and spare them." Jiang Fan sneered. "Don't utter such immature words in desperate times. It doesn't match your intelligence." Finishing his words, he silenced the domain mirror, remaining unmoved by Princess Jiang's shouts. He simply let her quietly watch as her kinsmen fell into the boundless void. In the sky, the royal chief of the central tribe was overwhelmed with grief and anger. "Jiang Fan!" His eyes were filled with rage, wishing to tear Jiang Fan to pieces. If not for Jiang Fan's obstruction, the heavenly remnant city lord would have succeeded. watching as the last nascent soul elites of the heavenly realm all fell into the void. His heart ached as if cut by a knife, and he wanted to rush into the void to save some of them if possible. But the great wine sacrifice stopped him, saying, "I told you to retreat earlier, but you wagered everything. Now regret is too late. Hold them back until the ancient giants perish." The sages, weakened to an extreme, forced themselves to restrain the frenzied giant emperors and those of the 10 sins of Central Earth. Not long after, with a massive rumbling sound, Hanuan's state, which had fallen into the void, finally shattered into countless pieces. Except for Wenhai Academy, sustained by the array, the rest had turned to ruins, and life struggled to survive. And Zinguan Venerable, who held on to hope, had lost all his vast energy, as well as nearly all his life force. He could no longer hold on, like a tattered sack blown away by the void. Yet, several breaths swept over. Several venerates intervened and brought him back. Jiang Fan put away the void fishing rod he had prepared, watching Zinguan Venerable descend slowly. No one could bear to let someone who sacrificed everything for Central Earth be taken by the void. Jiang Fan gently nudged True Word Venerable. Zinguan Venerable still had a trace of breath left. This was True Word Venerable's last chance. True Word Venerable hesitated for a moment. Seeing Zinguan Venerable's body exhausted from wish-making, his head full of white hair, his appearance aged. The coldness in her heart melted away. She flew forward, caught Zinguan Venerable, tears glistening, finally uttering that word after many years. "Father!" Zinguan Venerable's closed eyes opened because of that call. A luster surged in his dim eyes. Weakly, he took out a jade box. Inside were 2 golden orbs, one larger than the other. The larger one was the merit that Jiang Fan had given him, and the smaller was the merit he had accumulated over the years. "Buyu, I won't be able to see you married. These 2 merits are your dowry." True Word Venerable wept like rain. "Father!" Zinguan Venerable placed the jade box in her arms, his hands fell powerless and his eyes slowly closed, with a satisfied smile on his face. The mission of the Confucian practitioner is finally completed. May Central Earth be at peace for all eternity, as the last wisp of voice faded away. Zinguan Venerable permanently closed his eyes. The leading figure of the contemporary Confucianism, Zinguan Venerable, thus fell. Word Venerable buried her head in his embrace, her cries heart-wrenching. She thought she would hate this man for a lifetime, but when he passed away, her heart was pierced with pain. Jiang Fan watched with eyes that mirrored her sorrow. As he glanced around Wenhai Academy's surroundings, he quietly retreated to the back of the crowd. Rumble 9 azure dragons pulled a bronze chariot, racing out from the depths of the void. It was none other than the saint who struck back the 9-day giant emperor with a single blow, and wiped out several 1-day giant emperors. The bronze chariot stopped over Wenhai Academy. A woman with a long black skirt, charming and alluring with a graceful figure, leapt down. She held a green bottle of spiritual liquid, gazing at Zinguan Venerable's body, her eyes immediately reddening. Still too late. She was none other than Qian Jiao Venerable. After the saint repelled the 9-day giant emperor, he took her and Xing away from Central Earth. Unexpectedly, Qian Jiao Venerable returned, having sought out from the outside world a spiritual liquid filled with powerful vitality. Looking at the sobbing True Word Venerable, Qian Jiao Venerable squatted down, gently patting her back. Before he left, hearing you call him Dad, he was already without regret. True Word Venerable turned back and glared at her hatefully. Qian Jiao Venerable was unperturbed, sighing, "Don't you understand yet? I am not your father's wife. We, Xing and the Lord, the 3 of us were hunted by some existence, forced to conceal our identities and hide in Central Earth. Your father agreed to shelter us in exchange for the Lord's help once. It was just unfortunate that it coincided with your mother's passing, causing your misunderstanding. But our Lord's existence he couldn't explain to you." True Word Venerable's delicate body trembled. The resentment that dwelled within her heart for years instantly vanished. It turns out she misunderstood her father. Qian Jiao Venerable continued, "Your father also begged from the Lord a strand of the saint's will and embedded it in your body. It ensures your safety, turning danger into fortune. That's why, even when the 5-star giant king sent ferocious winds at you in the heavenly realm, you were able to return alive." What? True Word Venerable's pupils widened. No wonder back then, when the 3 gods and 1 bodhisattva entered the heavenly realm, the Black Sun King seized the opportunity to strike at her. Surely the Black Sun King's precognitive domain discerned her extraordinariness. And no wonder such terrifying winds, which even the heavenly human 5 declines would succumb to. She passed through unscathed, turning into a fireball and falling back to Central Earth. It turns out everything had a reason. She simply didn't think deeper about it. Upon learning the truth, regret filled her heart as she looked at the cold body in her arms, tears pouring down. Dad, snort, 9 azure dragons seemed to sense something, suddenly becoming restless. Inside the bronze chariot, an elderly commander in armor spoke. Kaiyan Jiao, we should leave now. That being has already detected our presence. Kaiyan Jiao Venerable accepted Zinguan Venerable's body from True Word Venerable's embrace. Resting his head on her shoulder, she stroked his tepid cheeks, eyes shimmering with tears as she softly said, Lord, take the princely heir and leave. I will stay with him. He suffered too much, losing his wife in his middle age, his beloved daughter turning away from him, still shouldering the fate of all Confucian practitioners silently. Since I am his wife, let me accompany him. A long sigh echoed from the bronze chariot. You ultimately fell for him. Enough, fleeing endlessly, you must be tired. Thank you, imperial concubine, for always taking care of the princely heir. This is our final farewell. 9 azure dragons broke through the void, departing, while at the front of the chariot, Xianxia wept, waving repeatedly to beckon Kaiyan Jiao Venerable to quickly follow along. Kaiyan Jiao Venerable watched the bronze chariot depart, tears streaming down. Princely heir, lord, take care of yourselves. She stood up slowly while holding Zinguan Venerable and walked to the boundary of Wenhai Academy's array. Before leaving, she set down the jade bottle she held, saying, This is life-spirit liquid that can heal all wounds. Let it stay with you in Central Earth. True Word Venerable stepped forward, her tears shimmering. Mother, don't. Kaiyan Jiao Venerable's self-sacrifice allowed True Word Venerable to break through the barrier and accept her as a stepmother. Kaiyan Jiao Venerable turned around, a charming smile revealing a look of comfort. Thank you, no words. Mother also wishes you and Jiang Fan 100 years of happiness. Goodbye. Her body gently leaned back and she fell into the void with Zinguan Venerable's remains. Everyone was mourning. Zinguan Venerable was not alone after all. In the end, the daughter was by his side. In death, the wife also followed him in sacrifice. True Word Venerable knelt on the ground, heart aching to the point of breathlessness. If only we had known the truth earlier. At this time, a hand rested on her shoulder, a familiar yet unfamiliar hoarse voice came through. Don't be sad. They might have a new life. True Word Venerable turned back in surprise. Jiang Fan. The Jiang Fan in front of her had an old face. The hand resting on her shoulder was like dry bark, as if he had exhausted his own life. Just like Zinguan Venerable, she suddenly understood, surprised. You made a wish. Jiang Fan nodded hoarsely. I wished for Zinguan Venerable's soul to remain intact. I don't know whether it succeeded. He wavered weakly, looking at his aged appearance, he said. It seems that the wish was activated. It should have succeeded. True Word Venerable's mind went blank. Seeing her sadness, Jiang Fan actually didn't hesitate to exhaust himself, making a great wish to preserve his father's soul. An indescribable emotion overflowed her heart. Just like when her mother was still alive and her father was by her side, full of warmth. Yes, that's the feeling of family. Jiang Fan? True Word Venerable, with a sob in her voice, suddenly rushed into Jiang Fan's embrace. Why are you so foolish? Jiang Fan staggered and barely managed to keep from falling, gently stroking her long hair, he said. Who says I'm half your family? True Word Venerable was touched to the core, tightly embracing Jiang Fan. No, from now on you are my family. At this moment, True Word Venerable was completely moved. Her body and spirit were both conquered by this little rascal. Cough, cough. Jiang Fan coughed heavily a few times. True Word Venerable came to her senses, saying, Your body. At this moment, she remembered the green spiritual liquid left by Kaiyan Jiao Venerable before leaving. Hastily, she summoned it from afar, pouring a sip for Jiang Fan. A miraculous scene appeared. His aged body visibly reversed, returning to his youthful appearance in no time. Not only that, many hidden injuries from the battle, even his depleted domain, were restored. It's known that the mysterious small divine ring was crafted by a special sage to restore one's domain. What is the origin of this life-spirit liquid, so defying the natural order? Don't stop, drink more. True Word Venerable continued, pouring, eyes full of concern. Jiang Fan hurriedly took the jade bottle, saying, Enough, enough, don't waste it. With eyes full of excitement, he shouted from afar, Luo, anonymous senior, Mingyi fellow Taoist, you should also try this spiritual liquid. One had been drained of flesh and blood by the giant emperor's lance. Another had his crown shattered. This spiritual liquid defying the natural order might just work. The two hurried over and each took a sip. Excitingly, the Mingyi Usura king's crown was easily restored, and even the blood and flesh of Jiangshan first-class building owner were restored. Ha ha ha, finally back to my peak. Jiangshan first-class building owner laughed. It was really suffocating being suppressed by the five-star giant king before. Unfortunately, now there's no five-star giant king to settle scores with. Upon hearing this, Jang Fan's eyes emitted a cold light. If you want to fight another battle, what's so hard about it? You wait for me in Heavenly Heritage City. When I return from the ancient wilderness hunting ground, we'll have a grand showdown. Jiangshan first-class building owner's eyes also revealed a hint of coldness. Some tumors definitely need to be eradicated, but he hesitantly glanced at the sky, saying, "What if that old thing obstructs us?" Jiang Fan fiercely said, "Then kill him together. Before the expedition to the heavenly realm, this half-giant tumor must be eradicated. Whoever obstructs will be killed, just at this moment." Liquid and looked around. He checked for anyone else suffering from irreversible and serious injuries. Suddenly, he glimpsed a large white rabbit in the corner, and his heart tightened. As he approached, he found Yue Mingzhu squatting before a decayed, ancient corpse, silently shedding tears. Jiang Fan felt a darkness in his heart. The reason he could save Zinguan Venerable's soul was that he had asked Ice Heart Venerate for that wish paper. He detonated the vast energy remaining in the Wenhai Academy and exhausted the space-time dust on his body. He nearly drained his life force completely. When Forgetful Wild Elder fell, these conditions were not present. He gently placed his hand on her shoulder from behind, saying, "Mingzhu, the senior did not die in vain." It was his actions that forced the six-son giant emperor to dispatch the nascent soul realm giants onto the battlefield, thus allowing Zinguan Venerable to complete the millennia-long plan. His efforts were not in vain. Tear stains were still on Yue Mingzhu's face, conveying, "Jiang Fan, did you all think the half-giants of Heavenly Heritage City were controlled to help capture the state-level teleportation array?" Jiang Fan's gaze sharpened. "Were they willing?" Yue Mingzhu nodded. "The people of the Qinshan Bureau aren't fools. If they were controlled, would they not notice? And why would they be unprepared? Damn it." Jiang Fan clenched his fist. "These beasts really consider the ancient giants as their ancestors." Originally, Jiang Fan had some moral hesitation about killing them, fearing he might wrongfully kill the innocent. Now there was no mental barrier at all. These half-giants, none are innocent. Yue Mingzhu wiped away her tears and said, "Jiang Fan, take me to Heavenly Heritage City too. I also want to kill those half-giants. If not for them, the master might not have needed to intervene." Jiang Fan felt a pain in his heart. The innocent, romantic girl who pursued a life of freedom had also been washed of her naivety by the war, burdened now with hatred. These damned half-giants. He tightened his grip on her shoulder and said, "All right, I'll take you with me. Wait for me at the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion." As the words fell, Jiang Fan, young Master Xiang, Jiang Yishan, and others, along with the not-yet-seen in Central Earth Liu Bianwang, Yun Wangxiao, and other ancient hunting competitors, were bathed in a bright beam of light from above. Jiang Fan released Yue Mingzhu and cupped his hands toward the crowd. "Everyone, I'll be back soon," then leapt onto the back of the white tiger. In the next moment, an incomparably strong pulling force swept over everyone, drawing them into the depth of the void. After the world spun around, Jiang Fan's feet hit the ground, and before he could clearly see the scene in front of him, he decisively took out the Tai Chu prison sky gourd, shouting, "Whoever comes close shall die." When his vision cleared, Liu Bianwang and Yun Wangxiao were attacking from both sides. If Jiang Fan hadn't timely drawn out the Tai Chu prison sky gourd, which made them fear, he might have already fallen victim. Liu Bianwang's eyes shifted and he said, "Yun Wangxiao, the time for the ancient hunt is almost up. If you don't act now, it will be too late. The holy sword in your spine and your space storage device are both on him," Yun Wangxiao said. "Why don't you act? Once the ancient hunt ends, the peace monument will be his." The two egged each other on to strike first. Once Jiang Fan struck at one of them, the other would have an opportunity to attack. Jiang Fan stood atop the white tiger, sneering as he glanced over the two. "Not a bit of courage. The northern heavenly state and the ancient demon realm erred in entrusting you." He directly aimed the gourd at Yun Wangxiao. The latter's face changed dramatically, never expecting Jiang Fan to target him first. His figure flashed instantly, decisively fleeing. But Jiang Fan's gourd simultaneously shifted to aim at the secretly excited, about-to-act Liu Bianwang. The latter's face suddenly stiffened. finally realizing Jiang Fan's true target was him. "Wait a minute," Jiang Fan shouted coldly. "Liu Bianwang." With a whoosh, an orange chain flew out, winding around him once more. Liu Bianwang, being targeted by the Tai Chu prison sky gourd for the second time, still felt a chilling fear. That feeling of impending death, as if he were falling off a cliff, made him cold and unable to muster any will to resist. He quickly said, "Wait, don't kill me. I'll return the memory silver sand to you." He decisively threw out the memory silver sand. The current memory silver sand was no longer as it had been, faintly covered in an ethereal mist. They had been reforged by the demon mirage of the sage realm with law added. The effect was incomparable. Jiang Fan's eyes gleamed coldly. "A handful of sand to save your life. How did you get the chaotic ancient blood marquis to act? Since we're setting out against the heavenly realm, the more sage realm power, the better. If the ancient demon realm could engage the chaotic ancient blood marquis to seize the ancient token for them, why couldn't Central Earth engage him for a battle in the heavenly realm?" Liu Bianwang hesitated. Jiang Fan snorted coldly, "Delaying for time, hoping Yun Wangxia will strike at me." "Then there's no need to wait," he prompted the Tai Chu prison sky gourd to capture him. Liu Bianwang hurriedly said, "Wait." He reluctantly took out a palm-sized blood orb from his space storage device. At first glance, it looked like a small, blood-colored moon. Jiang Fan was no stranger to this. Back when the chaotic ancient blood marquis appeared in Central Earth, he stepped on a blood moon. Liu Bianwang said, "Crush this blood moon and you can have a cross-realm dialogue with the chaotic ancient blood marquis. As long as you can offer him what he wants, he will indeed intervene for you. If what you offer is enough, even the 7 lords of chaotic ancient can serve you. Give this to you, can you swear to let me live?" Jiang Fan's eyes shone brightly. With the cross-realm magical treasure to converse with the 7 lords of chaotic ancient, this was an immense opportunity. Thinking it over, Jiang Fan said, "Fine, I swear by my domain, give it to me and I will spare your life." Liu Bianwang felt slightly relieved. With so many witnesses, Jiang Fan would hardly break his oath, right? Gingerly, he tossed the blood orb over, saying, "All right, it's yours," but unexpectedly. When the orb was in midair, a strand of silver hair enveloped it, picking up the memory silver sand from the ground in the process. Green Pearl, gloating, held the 2 items and said, "Sorry, I've taken the things." Then she winked at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan understood and said, "Liu Bianwang, since you didn't give them to me, you can't blame me for breaking the oath." "Damn it." Liu Bianwang immediately broke down. "You 2 liars. Collect." Jiang Fan acted decisively, activating the Tai Chu prison sky gourd with a whoosh. Liu Bianwang turned to mist, engulfed by the Tai Chu prison sky gourd. "Dare to kill me, my father won't spare you." As the voice cut off, the second of the heavenly human 5 declines was captured. Green Pearl cheerfully ran over, gleefully presenting the blood moon and memory silver sand to Jiang Fan. "Hee, am I smart or what?" Jiang Fan patted her on the head and discovered that she had snatched a royal crown and placed it on her head. If he hadn't returned, she would have represented Central Earth as the number 1. He immediately praised her sincerely. "How could my Green Pearl's wife not be clever?" Green Pearl shoved 2 items into his hand, then pounced into his embrace, laughing. "Husband is even smarter." This scene made the strong figures of the various realms roll their eyes. The audacious couple. The Central Earth tyrant couple? HMPH. The white tiger snorted, its mountain-like tiger paw patted the ground, making everyone shake violently. The strong figures of the realms quickly changed their tone. What I meant was, they truly look like a talented couple, a perfect match. Indeed, with their hearts united, their power is formidable. I'm envious, truly. The atmosphere on site immediately became harmonious and civilized. At this moment, Yun Wangxiao, sensing something was amiss, quietly returned to the scene and found that Liu Bianwang was already gone, and he understood the gist of it. He gazed at the dim-colored gourd in Jiang Fan's hand, his eyes shining brightly. "Fellow cultivators, his gourd can no longer be used. If you still want to obtain the peace monument, act with me." Even with the white tiger's protection, Jiang Fan found it ineffective against the gang attack of dozens. However, no one responded to his call. If they truly wanted to act, they would have done so when Jiang Fan subdued Liu Bianwang earlier. Jiang Yishan crossed his arms in front of his chest and said, "Forget it. The time is almost up. Even if we grab his beam, it won't be us benefiting. It wouldn't be making wedding clothes for Yun Wangxiao." The other worldly powerhouses also harbored this thought. If time was ample, those with slightly weaker cultivation could still slowly plot by sitting back and watching the tiger fight. But now, where is their opportunity? Yun Wangxiao, unable to rally the crowd, turned his gaze to young Master Xiang. Aren't you going to act? He's at 260 zhang while you're only at 180 zhang. Young Master Xiang stood with his hands behind his back, calmly saying, Central Earth deserves the first place. I give it to them. Then, before the end of the ancient hunting time, he soared into the sky and left. Before leaving, he paused, looked down at Jiang Fan and said, Come to the divine capital when you have time. No, you'll be coming soon. With a wave of his hand, a shower of colorful rain fell toward Jiang Fan. A gift for you. See you in the divine capital. Jiang Fan was puzzled, sweeping his sleeve to catch the colorful raindrops in the sky. Looking carefully, his pupils suddenly contracted. Soul-awakening divine nails. These were not rain at all, but soul-awakening divine nails capable of opening the ninth aperture. 800 years ago, Central Earth witnessed such a rain, allowing many to break through the nine-aperture nascent soul barrier. Jiang Fan also benefited from a broken soul-awakening divine nail, allowing him to swiftly enter the nine-aperture divinity transformation. Young Master Xiang unexpectedly gifted him a shower of soul-awakening divine nails before leaving. Upon a rough count, there were at least 1,000, suggesting that Central Earth could have at least 1,000 individuals stepping into the nine-aperture nascent soul, impacting divinity transformation in the future. Even if only 1% succeed in divinity transformation, there could still be 10 more divinity transformation in Central Earth. At worst, there could still be 1,009 aperture nascent souls. This is an unparalleled assistance. When Jiang Fan wanted to look up and express his gratitude, young Master Xiang had already stepped on the clouds and disappeared into the vast void. So the soul-awakening divine nails originate from the divine capital. Could the soul-awakening divine nails reign 800 years ago also have come from some entity in the divine capital? Why did the opposing side send a soul-awakening divine nail reign to Central Earth? As he pondered, the white tiger suddenly let out an angry yet fearful low growl. It was as if it saw an enemy from a past life. Following the white tiger's gaze, Jiang Fan's mouth twitched fiercely. He saw a 6-year-old little girl in a black pleated dress with a cute and innocent face stepping across the sky. It was none other than Kiki from the Sin realm. She had her hands crossed in front of her chest, and her grape-sized eyes were blazing with fury. Little thing was selling my small divine ring that enjoyable. Jiang Fan's mouth twitched as he said, Senior Kiki, let me plead my case. I didn't expect the small divine ring to be so well preserved. Driven by the honest mindset of not wasting food, I decided to sell the extra small divine ring. The flames in Kiki's eyes intensified. And what's this about impersonating my apprentice? I take all the blame and you take all the benefits. Jiang Fan cleared his throat with embarrassment and said, That's because I admire Senior Kiki's business acumen, hoping to model myself after you and become a formidable businessman. Kiki laughed in exasperation. No way. You're the black merchant among black merchants. It's I who should be apprenticing to you. Seeing her anger was not easing, a clever idea flashed in Jiang Fan's eyes, and he took out Yun Wangxiao's space storage device. Senior Kiki, this is the space storage device I justly obtained from Yun Wangxiao through trade. Unfortunately, without the spell, I cannot open it. Why don't we make a deal? You find the spell and I'll provide the storage device. We'll split it 50-50. Oh, upon hearing potential profit, the flames in Kiki's eyes quickly dissipated. She pondered, stroking her chin. The treasure hoard of an angel leader wouldn't be small. She was tempted. Yun Wangxiao turned green in the face, watching them divide his space storage device right in front of him. Outrageous. Jiang Fan, return the space storage device to me, and there's still room for negotiation between us. Otherwise, it will be a matter of life and death. Jiang Fan gave him a cold glance. What a joke. You backstabbed me with a sword before and you still haven't paid the price. And you think there's still room for negotiation? There was never any. He then looked at Kiki from the Sin realm. She pondered for a moment and her grape-sized eyes fell on Yun Wangxiao. With a sweet smile she asked, Big brother Yun Wangxiao, can I borrow your spell? Yun Wangxiao cautiously retreated and said in a deep voice, Kiki, think it through. Do you also want to be enemies with my angel clan? Kiki smiled sweetly. All right, since Big Brother doesn't want to lend it then. I'll just take it myself then. Kiki put away her smile and snorted. A masterless spell is fair game for anyone. She pulled out a golden mirror and shined it on Yun Wangxiao. His face changed dramatically, attempting to instantaneous movement away. But caught in the mirror's golden beam, he suddenly stood frozen in place as if he'd lost his soul. "Mirror, mirror, what is the spell for his space storage device?" A line of text appeared in the mirror immediately. "Unyielding loyalty." Seeing those 4 words, Jiang Fan immediately took out the space storage device, and with a thought, it indeed opened. "It's done!" Jiang Fan rejoiced inwardly. The idea of how many treasures an angel leader who came for the ancient hunting might possess was unimaginable. Kiki swiftly flew over, her eyes sparkling. "Quick, pour everything out. Let's seize what we fancy with our eyes and hands." Jiang Fan frowned slightly. It would have been good if the little Kilin was here. Its ability to appraise treasures would surely unearth a few significant treasures. Unfortunately, ever since he transformed the dead spirit of Taikang State and obtained merit, the little Kilin bore all these merits and fell into slumber again. At this moment, Green Pearl gently drew a circle on the back of his hand. Jiang Fan realized that Green Pearl, having spent much time in the heavenly realm, had seen many Angel Clan relics. Her knowledge of Angel Clan's treasures might not be inferior to Kiki's. After some brief contemplation, he decisively emptied out the contents of the space storage device. Instantly, holy light burst out. Various items unique to the Angel Clan, imbued with holy power, rolled out. Among them were several with particularly dense holy power, leaving Jiang Fan unsure which one to choose. Green Pearl, however, noticed something, gasped, and pointed her foot at a piece of clothing radiating a large area of holy light. It was a cloak woven with white feathers, with breezes of pure qi flowing over it. Without her saying a word, Jiang Fan also knew that Green Pearl had discovered a great treasure. But Kiki had also noticed it. Her already large eyes widened even further. With a swift move of her hand, she tried to grab it. Jiang Fan, well prepared, quickly cast the void fishing rod. The next instant, the hook snagged the feathered garment and pulled it back. Kiki grabbed at thin air, her cheeks puffed up in anger. "Give this one to me, and I'll let you pick 2 others." Jiang Fan grabbed the feathered garment and stuffed it directly into the heavenly thunder stone, saying, "You said it yourself, it's whoever's quicker with their hands that gets it." Oh dear, Kiki was furious but could only move on to selecting other items. Jiang Fan also wasted no time and, under Green Pearl's guidance, quickly picked out numerous great treasures. To his surprise and delight, he found a golden feather given to him by Xia Cultivation. However, its color was dim and it had some damage, obviously not as effective as Xia Cultivation's. But it should be enough to block some non-lethal attacks. Additionally, there was also a crystal necklace filled with a sacred aura, a top-grade defensive spiritual artifact. It seemed to require the holy power of the Angel Clan to activate. It would be perfect to give to Xia Cultivation. Lastly, there was a barrel of strange, snow-white flames. Jiang Fan held it without feeling anything, just warm and comfortable, but from a distance, Green Pearl retreated cautiously, a discomforted expression on her face. "This is the holy fire of the Angel Clan, which has a restraining effect on our Asura clan," Green Pearl said, frowning. Holy fire. It reminded him that 10,000 years ago, the Angel Clan and Asura clan were bitter enemies. Both sides had even invaded each other's worlds. It's only normal that they have things that counter each other. This holy fire should be saved for future use. The rest were mostly heavenly materials and earthly treasures brimming with spiritual energy. These would generally benefit those in the nascent soul realm, with their spiritual energy even more abundant than in the southern heavenly realm. A few were resources only usable by those in the divinity transformation realm. Among them, a black fruit caught his attention. At first glance, it resembled a human eye with deep majesty flowing within, a bit creepy to look at. But Green Pearl gasped, "Husband, that's a truth fruit. It can help your human clan in divinity transformation to understand their Tao, long extinct in the southern heavenly realm. But unfortunately, there's only one, so its effect is limited." Jiang Fan was quite surprised. After entering the divinity transformation realm, each further enlightenment of Tao is as difficult as a single enlightenment of divinity transformation, extremely challenging. To think the truth fruit has such an effect. A good find, indeed, not long after. Kiki and Jiang Fan had divided the items, leaving only some worthless trinkets lying on the ground unwanted. Both of them had satisfied smiles, feeling the trip was worthwhile. Of course, where there is joy, there is also displeasure. When Yun Wangxil broke free of the mirror's control and saw the scene on the ground, his eyes nearly popped out. All the good stuff was picked clean, leaving nothing for him. You two black-hearted thieves, give me back my things. Kiki's smile vanished. She fed. What's yours? Call them and see if they'll answer you. What I hold is mine. Try stealing it. I heard someone wants to buy an Angel Clan slave. Be careful or I'll sell you off. Yun Wangxiao dared not speak. This notorious Kiki is known to sell anything, including people. If she truly enrages him, Yun Wangxiao might become a masterless person and truly be picked up. Frightened him off, Kiki's smile returned as she said to Jiang Fan, Kid, our accounts are settled until we meet again. With this income, not only did it cover the loss of the small divine ring, but it also made a significant profit. She was ready to leave, satisfied. Jang Fan quickly said, Wait, the junior would like to make a few more deals with the senior. Oh, Kiki showed interest. I want that winged item. How much are you selling it for? Jiang Fan, not knowing the value of the wings, wasn't about to let Kiki take advantage of him. He said, Let me tell you what I need first. I need the power of a sage, preferably the entire power of a three calamities sage. Kiki, touching her chin, said, I don't have it on me. It needs ordering. Jiang Fan wasn't surprised, so he continued, I also need top-grade spirit swords, at least 3. Kiki said, You asked about that before. That also needs ordering. Jiang Fan thought for a moment. I also need a magical treasure capable of killing a sage. Hearing this, Kiki rolled her eyes. You want a lot, what will you trade for it? If it's that cloak, I might consider it. Jiang Fan was secretly shocked. Is this cloak really that valuable? Kiki, the big black market dealer, is willing to trade all 3 items for it. He shook his head and said, I won't trade the cloak for now. I have something else for you. Kiki scoffed. Besides the cloak, what else do you have of value? Jiang Fan quietly took out a Buddhist scripture, saying, A transcendent scripture created by a Buddha from the Hell Realm. It can appease the grievances of the dead and earn infinite merit. If you meet my needs, I'll let you copy a copy. Kiki was visibly jolted, widened her eyes. Is this the prison-suppressing soul scripture? Many sages offer hefty sums for it, but a Buddha's true teachings are never shared, and no one can obtain it. And you just have a copy. Is it real? Jiang Fan put away the prison-suppressing soul scripture, saying, I am not foolish enough to deceive the incredibly powerful heavenly human 5 declines great venerate. Kiki's eyes gleamed. Knowing Jiang Fan's dealings, he may be even more black-hearted than her, but never foolish. Maybe this is a genuine prison-suppressing soul scripture. If she could secure it, she'd make a fortune. She touched her chin and said, I don't carry sage-killing treasures with me. It will also be on order. In a month, I'll bring all 3 items to Central Earth to find you. If the collaboration goes well, I might consider making you my strategic partner. From then on, in your travels through the worlds, you can use my name. Jiang Fan showed pleasure and said, Great, I await Senior Kiki's esteemed visit. But being a strategic partner, I'll pass. Announcing your name, I'm afraid I'd get beaten to death. Kiki chuckled. Kid, you have no idea of my formidable reputation. All right, see you in a month. With a satisfied smile, Kiki put away the golden mirror and instantaneously moved into the void. Jiang Fan looked on with amazement. Both young Master Xiang and Kiki are unafraid of the void. They can travel through it. That's something only a sage can do. Green Pearl gave a mysterious smile. Husband can do it now, too. Fan's eyebrows suddenly arched, and he couldn't hide the excitement in his eyes. Is it that feathered garment? Green Pearl was also extremely happy and said, That's right. It is woven from the feathers of the great angel containing the power of laws. Wearing it makes one unafraid of chaotic void currents and able to fly freely in the void. I once saw a painting in a relic depicting a group of angels wearing feathered garments soaring freely in the void. In the future, my husband can also fly in the void like an angel. Jiang Fan was beyond words with joy. Putting aside disputes with Kiki to jointly explore this storage device was truly a wise decision. Of course, all thanks to Green Pearl's guidance. Otherwise, Kiki would definitely have taken the advantage. He embraced Green Pearl and kissed her forehead. You did a great job this time. What reward would you like? Green Pearl's face turned red and she said, I don't want a reward, just being with my husband is enough. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. I listen to my husband. Jiang Fan was moved at heart. Green Pearl had given him all her heart. Such a girl, how could he bear to let her down? At this moment, the ancient wilderness hunting ground shook slightly. In the sky, the last grain of sand in the giant hourglass fell. The hunting time in the ancient wilderness hunting ground had ended. The lazy voice of the hunting ground's owner appeared unsurprisingly. Hunting is over. 83 participants, 48 survivors, a larger casualty rate than the previous session, but more interesting than any session before. Now announcing the results, first place, Jiang Fan from Central Earth. Reward: One Piece Monument? With that, a small, silvery gleaming monument about the size of a palm fell from the sky and landed before Jiang Fan's feet. Jiang Fan quickly looked over and was slightly stunned. The material of the silver steel is a very ordinary artifact refining material, available at any sect in Central Earth. Could a silver steel made of such a material deter ancient dark creatures from invading? He looked at the words engraved on the silver steel and was stunned again. Scram! Yes, the word engraved on it was scram, and it was scrawled as if drunkenly, written carelessly, extremely perfunctory. Jiang Fan was speechless. Is this the peace monument that the strong from the 100 realms of all heavens contend for? Its appearance was, to say the least, vastly different from the high-end image he imagined, until he picked up the peace monument. When he touched it, he finally sensed its extraordinary nature. A formidable majesty surged from the steel, compelling him to bow in reverence. This is indeed the peace monument, the lazy voice of the hunting ground owner continued. Placed at the center of a world, it can deter ancient dark creatures from invading. Its effect lasts only up to 1,000 years, just enough to prevent one invasion. Jiang Fan pondered while holding the peace monument. After a while, he stroked his chin and said, "If I take it to a still warring world, could it also scare off ancient dark creatures?" The hunting ground owner was stunned for a moment before saying, "In theory, yes. But no one has done it, as taking it to another world requires being prepared for it not to be brought back." Jiang Fan's eyes gleamed with delight. "So I can make a fortune. Oh, maintain world peace one more time?" The hunting ground owner fell silent. He had the impulse to crack open Jiang Fan's head to see its inner workings, a very strong impulse. After a long pause, the hunting ground owner took a deep breath and said, "Congratulations on becoming the first in this year's ancient wilderness hunt. And congratulations, you now qualify for the ultimate hunt. However, whether you choose to participate is up to you. If you wish, I'll give you a hunting token. If not, there's no coercion." Jiang Fan was surprised. Was there a higher-level hunt beyond the ancient wilderness hunt? He asked, "Is the ultimate hunt also about hunting ancient dark creatures?" The hunting ground owner fell silent for a moment before slowly saying, "You are the prey yourselves." "You?" Jiang Fan's heart trembled. Was the ancient wilderness hunt not the only hunt? Were there other first-place winners in other places' ancient wilderness hunts? After thinking, he asked, "Where is the hunting ground?" The hunting ground owner suddenly became serious. "Everywhere you can see is a battlefield," meaning the entire world is the hunting ground. Jiang Fan slowly frowned. "What is the reward?" The peace monument was already in hand. He couldn't figure out why to join a higher-level hunt. The hunting ground owner emphatically uttered 4 words. "Martial Path Zenith." Jiang Fan's eyes slowly widened. What is the Martial Path Zenith? Saint Realm? Apparently not just that. Could a single hunt really send him to the Martial Path Zenith? The void ancient tree was only to escort him to the Saint Realm. Will you accept or forfeit? Reminder, only one can survive the ultimate hunt. The rest will die, far crueler than the ancient wilderness hunt. Jiang Fan's heart shook and he asked, "Can the qualification be transferred to another before the start?" The hunting ground owner said, "If the token approves, it can be transferred." Only then did Jiang Fan rest assured and decisively said, "Please give it to me." "All right." A fist-sized crystal fell. Jiang Fan grabbed it and upon closer inspection found it to be crystal clear, with a silhouette of a flame inside. He showed a peculiar expression. The hunting ground owner said, "No need to be surprised. It's a material you cannot understand, not understanding is fine. When the flame inside ignites, you have won." The peculiar expression didn't fade from Jiang Fan's face. Because the peculiarity didn't come from the material, but because he already had an identical crystal. Moreover, inside it there was a pale moon-white flame. It wasn't just ignited, it was much more vibrant than the current flame. That was a relic left by his mother. Jiang Fan fell into great confusion. Why was the relic his mother left him the token for the ultimate hunt? Who was she? Where was she now? "Any more questions?" the hunting ground owner asked. Jiang Fan snapped back to reality, suppressing the waves in his heart and said, "No more." The hunting ground owner looked at the others and said, "Congratulations on surviving. Each choose a small gift." Suddenly, streaks of white light appeared on the sky, each containing an item. Jiang Fan looked up, his heart skipping a beat, because he saw 7th grade Great Pill, even higher grade Great Pills, Enlightenment Fruit, and spiritual artifacts exuding astonishing pressure. Green Pearl joyfully said, "Husband, I'll get you the Enlightenment Fruit." Jiang Fan quickly held her back and said, "Don't waste the opportunity." Thinking they were truly small gifts, he was astonished to find each item surprisingly incredible. His gaze swept around and found a drop of ink-black blood emitting a terrifying spiritual pressure. It had the same rhythm as the 10,000 spirits' ancestor blood of the demon race. However, this drop contained a fearsome yin-qi. No doubt it was most likely the blood of the Hell Realm Master. It would be incredibly beneficial for Green Pearl to enhance her Asura talent. "Get that drop of blood." Green Pearl hesitated. "Husband, I don't want it. Why don't you take what you need instead?" Jiang Fan frowned. "Didn't you say you'd listen to whatever I said?" Only then did Green Pearl reluctantly take the drop of blood. The strong ones across the various realms also gleefully seized their astonishing opportunities. Jiang Fan looked on with envy. These opportunities only come once in a millennium. "Well then, this concludes the hunt. Everyone return to your own worlds," the hunting ground master announced. Suddenly, rays of light surrounded them. The fierce beasts from all over the hunting ground also growled lowly as they headed back to the bronze earth. The white tiger under Jiang Fan let out a low growl, turning its head to look at Jiang Fan with a gaze of farewell. Only then did Jiang Fan realize a problem. That is, the fierce beasts of the hunting ground will be trapped in the confined hunting ground forever. The next time the hunting ground opens is 1,000 years from now. By then, they will have long turned to dust. No, they won't survive until then. The fierce beasts will keep slaughtering each other, and one day the white tiger will die in the brutal scramble. After some hesitation, he cupped his hands and said, "Senior, could I take this white tiger with me?" The hunting ground master said, "There is no such rule. Even if you are the first, there won't be any exceptions made." The white tiger showed a grateful expression, lifted its paw, and waved a farewell, meaning, "Don't worry about it." Jiang Fan had taken quite a liking to this white tiger and couldn't bear the thought of it spending the rest of its life in the ancient wilderness hunting ground. A thought struck him. Jiang Fan took the drop of the Hell Realm Master's blood from Green Pearl's hand and then took out the dog bowl. The timing was just right. A day had passed. The dog bowl could be used once more. He placed the black blood inside, and in the next moment 2 drops of blood appeared in the bowl. Jiang Fan took 1 drop out, threw it back, and said, "My wife doesn't want this gift. How about exchanging it for the white tiger? Can it be done this way?" Even the hunting ground master was left speechless. After a long pause, he replied with a mix of anger and amusement, take it, and you better leave quickly." "Don't let me see you again." Jiang Fan was overjoyed. The white tiger also couldn't believe it at first, but soon ran back ecstatically, jumping around like a large dog in front of Jiang Fan, roaring and shouting excitedly. He took Green Pearl and jumped onto the white tiger's back, watching as the stronggons of the realms were about to be transported away, and loudly declared, "Fellow Taoists of various realms, I, Jiang, solemnly declare the peace monument will not be kept by Central Earth. If any realm is interested, send representatives to Central Earth to negotiate, and the highest bidder gets it." What? The strong ones of various realms were all shocked. Is there actually a world that doesn't need a peace monument? This peace monument cannot even be exchanged for the lives of a couple of sages. It can prevent war for the next 1,000 years in a world, gather enough strength for the world, and it is an irreplaceable treasure. All right, I'll notify the sages of our world as soon as I return. This event will shake the realms. Who knows how many worlds will compete for it? Our world might not even have a chance. Our world wants it too. Wait for us. One figure after another was enveloped by the light and rushed into the void. Jiang Fan, Green Pearl, and the white tiger disappeared along with the light, above the firmament. The hunting ground master rubbed his temples. How can one person have so many tricks up their sleeve? With a sigh, he looked up at Ling Xiuzi. With a flick of a finger, an unknown miraculous power shot into his body. A miraculous sight occurred. The rotting body of Ling Xiuzi immediately regained fragrance, the shattered divine ring rapidly mended, and 5 flames were lit. Congratulations, Central Earth, for obtaining first place on its own. According to the rules, you are free. Everyone looked at Ling Xiuzi with envy. They, like Ling Xiuzi, had made a deal with the hunting ground master when they were on the verge of death, exchanging freedom for life. For hundreds and thousands of years, they have been confined to the hunting ground with no release. Ling Xiuzi was the only exception. Ling Xiuzi was in tears. He was already prepared to rot and fall. Never did he expect Jiang Fan to give him new life. "Thank you, master," the hunting ground master asked. "Where do you want to go?" Ling Xiuzi instinctively wanted to say Central Earth, but changed his mind and said, "Send me to the southern heavenly realm." Everyone was surprised, and the woman beside him anxiously asked, "Are you crazy? Why don't you return to Central Earth properly? What are you going to do in the southern heavenly realm controlled by giants?" Ling Zuzi sighed quietly. "Thousands of years have passed. Where are the old friends now? I've been away from Central Earth for a millennium. Where would old friends still exist? Why not stay and fight once more for my Central Earth?" Everyone fell silent. It turns out a millennium has already passed. A fleeting dream. The former homeland remains only a sigh of being things that are different from people. The hunting ground master gently nodded. "Then I will send you to the southern heavenly realm." He flicked his finger, a beam of light enveloping Ling Zuzi and sending him away. The hunting ground master sat on his throne with eyes closed, a trace of yearning lingering in his gaze. Moments later, he slowly stood up. "All right, go to the city walls for defense. The dark tide is coming soon. If we withstand it, I will set you free. If we cannot withstand it, then we will perish together with the hunting ground." Upon hearing the words dark tide, a trace of fear and unease appeared on everyone's faces. This ancient wilderness hunting ground that has existed for tens of thousands of years, they have no confidence in defending it. Central Earth, Taikang State, Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. The sky cracked open. Jiang Fan, Green Pearl, and the White Tiger fell simultaneously. Jiang Fan was surprised. What kind of existence is the hunting ground master? From countless distances away, he could actually send me precisely to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. As he pondered, detecting the great commotion, many people dashed up in surprise and delight. "Vice Pavilion Master Jiang, husband, Jiang." Familiar faces appeared one after another, including Su Yoren, Fairy Yunshang, and the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master. Besides the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion members, people from the Fire Worship sect were also present. Jiang Fan glanced over them one by one, somewhat surprised to notice Yue Mingzhu hadn't arrived yet. The Wenhai Academy they were traveling on, who knows to which great state it transported them. "Let's wait until she returns, and then head to Heavenly Heritage City together, to avenge Forgetful Wild Elder and the innocent lives of Central Earth's inhabitants." Just in time, the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion even has a minor issue that needs addressing. His eyes were as sharp as lightning, sweeping over the Fire Worship sect crowd. He hasn't forgotten that there's an extremely suspicious disciple in the Fire Worship sect. He's merely in the core formation realm, yet after being struck by the 2-star water giant king, he didn't die. He explained that he fell into the fire well, and the water essence in him was dissolved by the fire well. But afterward, when Jiang Fan descended, he didn't find anything capable of dissolving the essence of the 2-star water giant king. So why did Lin Zhenyu lie? The previous battle was chaotic, and he couldn't attend to it. Now it's time to address these hidden dangers, especially since the other side is residing within the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, making it all the more intolerable. The Fire Worship sect leader asked in surprise, "Starfear Venerable, who are you looking for?" Jiang Fan's eyes held a deeper meaning. "Sect leader, do you have a disciple named Lin Zhenyu?" Sect leader was surprised and said, "The Venerable actually knows my humble true disciple. Zhenyu, aren't you coming to pay respects to Senior Starfear Venerable?" Amid the calls, a young man standing behind the Fire Worship sect's crowd parted the people and approached Jiang Fan. His appearance was ordinary, the kind that would be invisible in a crowd. His cultivation had reached the 9th layer of core formation perfection, with the opportunity to attempt to break through to the nascent soul realm. He bowed respectfully. "Junior Lin Zhenyu pays respects to Senior Starfear Venerable." Jiang Fan examined him, but nothing was apparent from his appearance. The human aura, the human cultivation, the anxious expression were all flawless. The Fire Worship sect leader was expectant. "Senior, do you recognize my disciple?" Could it be that Lin Zhenyu was appreciated by Jiang Fan in some way? Jiang Fan's eyes showed contemplation. As Lin Zhenyu's master, did the Fire Worship sect leader not detect anything wrong with him? Jiang Fan had only seen one creature capable of disguising to such an extent so far. That is the Hell Beast, which gains everything from its prey by consuming them. Linking it to the second connecting sky-black pillar near the Fire Worship sect, the likelihood of a Hell Beast hiding there is high. He collected the strange look in his eyes, showing a slight smile. "Our Taikang state has been gravely injured in this battle, with a sharp decline in the nascent soul realm. I intend to particularly nurture a group of 9th layer of core formation juniors to help them break through to nascent soul quickly. Since Lin Zhenyu is your true disciple, I will nurture him well." The Fire Worship sect leader was overjoyed. who didn't know that Jiang Fan was full of treasures. Members of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion were all originally of mediocre aptitude, yet they had all been pushed into the nascent soul rank. If Lin Zhenyu could be under Jiang Fan's special cultivation, his future would be promising. He nudged Lin Zhenyu's knee, making him kneel on the ground. "Aren't you going to kneel and thank the senior?" Lin Zhenyu hurriedly kowtowed excitedly. "Thank you, Senior Starfgear, for nurturing. This junior is willing to go through fire and water for you without hesitation." Jiang Fan smiled and patted his shoulder. No need for formalities. As he patted his shoulder, a small jar containing the heavenly sacred fire appeared in Jiang Fan's sleeve. At the moment it was taken out, Lin Zhenyu's body trembled violently. As if shocked, he backed away. Jiang Fan's pupils slightly chilled. This object only has a restraining effect on creatures from the Hell Realm. Lin Zhenyu's identity was now self-evident. The second Hell Beast. He was secretly alarmed. Fortunately, he cautiously eliminated this hidden danger. Otherwise, the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion would be harboring a Hell Beast. The thought was terrifying. However, Jiang Fan did not kill him. To activate the Bronze Hell Beast, living Hell Beast blood is required. He put away the sacred fire and asked in surprise, "What's wrong with you?" Lin Zhenyu felt suspicious in his heart, but pretended to be unconcerned on the surface, saying, "I'm fine, thank you, Senior, for your concern." Jiang Fan furrowed his brows and said, "A touch from a divinity transformation, Venerable, scares you. Your mental state needs improvement. Stay by my side for the next few days and I'll take you to see some things." Lin Zhenyu hesitated. Jiang Fan's fierce reputation preceded him. Would long-term proximity lead to exposure? However, the fire worship sect leader was delighted and shouted, "You good for nothing, hurry and thank Senior Starfgear Venerable. Being personally taught by such a senior is like smoke rising from your ancestor's grave." To avoid exposure, Lin Zhenyu could only feign gratitude. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed coldly for a moment, but he wore a warm smile. "Rise," having dealt with Lin Zhenyu's matter. Jiang Fan looked in the direction of the underground palace and found that Yue Mingzhu had not yet returned, so he took Tian Qin out from the space mirror. She was bound by the immortal binding vine, disheveled hair, and had a large turtle drawn on her pretty face. Her exposed wrists and neck were bruised. It seemed that the rebellious guy had really been taking good care of her. "Jiang Fan, I'd rather die than be humiliated. Kill me now?" Tian Qin shrieked frantically. She had enough of that small spirit beast which appeared harmless but was actually horribly vicious. "As you wish." Jiang Fan grasped the purple thunder and directly placed it against her neck, his gaze exceptionally cold. This supporter of the Dark Shura clan among the giants was also a hidden danger. It ought to be sacrificed to heaven. "Wait, my husband," Green Pearl intervened, appearing slightly excited. "She's the eldest princess of the Dark Shura clan imperial family, knowledgeable of many clan secrets. Killing her would be a shame. Better to keep her and slowly extract information." Jiang Fan pondered. During his counterattack against the Heavenly Realm, the Dark Shura clan would not sit idle. Jiang Fan asked, "Is the Dark Shura clan strong? If they were merely an ordinary tribe, there would be no need for such trouble." "Very strong," Green Pearl affirmed resolutely. "The bounty from the Dark Shura clan for capturing the second Princess Tianji is to assist a 5-crowned Usura to ascend to Usura Emperor. This shows that there's an Usura Emperor in the clan." Whoa, how did I almost forget this bounty? Without an Usura Emperor in charge, how could they issue a bounty of such magnitude? Reflecting further, the tribe where Red Sleeves resides under the suppression of the giant clan could still nurture a 5-crowned Usura. The Dark Shura clan, unfettered by the giant clan and even protected by them, having developed over thousands of years, who knows how powerful it has become? Jiang Fan was slightly startled. He realized that he had underestimated the strength of the Dark Shura clan. In the southern heavenly realm, threats were not limited to the ancient giants. Trying to extract information from me. Although I am a woman, don't underestimate my willpower. Bang. A black divine wood struck her on the head. Tian Qin was momentarily stunned, then the delayed, hellish pain engulfed her, causing her to roll on the ground. "Ah, it hurts so much. Woo-woo, kill me." Woo-woo, rolling around, the pain eventually brought tears to her eyes. Jiang Fan shrugged. "Obviously, your will isn't as tough as my stick." Time was pressing. He had no leisure to interrogate her. He returned her to the space mirror. The rebellious guy poked out his head, eagerly looking at the stick, said, "Big brother, can I play with this stick?" Upon hearing this, Tian Qin screamed in terror. "Jiang Fan, don't give it to him. I'll tell you everything you want. Don't give that little demon." Jiang Fan smirked. Still defiant, one hit and she relented. At this moment, the white light on Jiang Fan, green pearl, and the white tiger suddenly started to tremble. Then it transformed into a circular light ring, radiating out in all directions. It swept across Taikang State, spreading throughout Central Earth. In the void where Hanuan State resided, the giant emperor and the 10 sins of Central Earth were still making their last, unyielding counterattack. If they could kill one sage before Jiang Fan returned, there was a sliver of chance left for them. However, just then that light ring swept across them. It brushed over the 10 sins without much effect, but when it passed over the giant emperor, the cursed sun wheel on their foreheads shook violently. Their mighty golden bodies also trembled madly, and the frequency increased rapidly. The sleeping giant emperor vomited blood in terror and said, "The emperor, we must leave. The ancient hunt is over." The six-sun giant emperor's eyes were bloodshot, roaring into the sky furiously. "I am unwilling." Realm gave everything. In the end, it all turned out to be a waste. In the brief moment of delay, several giant emperors' bodies cracked, spilling black blood. The sleeping giant emperor said, "As long as the green hills are there, no need to worry about firewood. Let's quickly rescue our clan from the void, save as many as we can. We can't wait any longer, let's go." He lunged forward, along with several other giant emperors, carrying the six-sun giant emperor down into the void, departing from Central Earth. 10 sins were lamenting. Xianxia Cultivation sheathed the moonlight-long sword, sighing, "Man plans, but heaven dictates. Despite Heavenly Realm having favorable conditions, we still lost, such a pity." Wanyan Sage angrily rebuked. 1,000 years ago, without you, Central Earth would have won long ago. You band of sinners will eventually descend into hell. Xianxia Cultivation chuckled, leading the other 9 sins into the void, rasping. "Do you think it's all over? Haha, those who desire Central Earth are not limited to the giants. Prepare yourselves, we'll make a comeback soon." Hem. With that, 10 sins plunged deep into the void, disappearing from sight. Wanyan Sage grunted, "Want to leave? Everyone, let's chase them into the void and stop them from rescuing the giants." Great Wine Sacrifice said, "Don't chase, the giants will struggle to invade our Central Earth again." He looked toward the connecting sky-black pillar. The light circle intimidated not only the giants. Even the connecting sky-black pillar was shaking violently, showing signs of crumbling. Once the pillar disperses, the giants won't be able to descend again. Moreover, we have more important matters to attend to. Great Wine Sacrifice waved his sleeve. The image of the 9 states reappeared. This time, the heavenly state, which had lost contact, finally succeeded in establishing connection. Wanyan Sage frowned. "What's the heavenly state doing? The great battle is over, yet not a single person came for the final fight." However, when the picture became clear, his expression suddenly froze. Several sages also showed shock. The land of the heavenly state had become scorched earth. Countless landmarks and spirit veins shattered beyond repair, corpses strewn everywhere, rivers of blood. The sky was punctured with holes, cracks intertwining, extending across the entire great state. Heavenly state, on the verge of being shattered. The level of devastation was no less severe than in Hanuan State. Tianluo Sage gravely asked, "What happened in the heavenly state? Weren't the giants' main forces all in our Hanuan State?" Great Wine Sacrifice waved his sleeve again, enlarging the image, focusing on the vicinity of the connecting sky-black pillar. Groups of creatures emitting yin-chi retreated back to the heavenly realm like tides along the pillar. The women were graceful, their faces charming, the men were sturdy and tall. Many wore crowns atop their heads. Their identity unmistakable, the Asura clan. Looking out, the Asura king along with ordinary Asura clan members numbered over 1,000. They fought while retreating, led by the young emperor as the heavenly state's strong chased after them. 9 nether demon venerables squinted. "Is it the Dark Shura clan? Why did they join the battle? The land of Central Earth is unsuitable for their survival. Why assist the giants in attacking Central Earth?" Red-faced Sage's expression was solemn. "The Dark Shura clan actually joined the battle, the first time in 10,000 years. Xianxia Cultivation just said those who want Central Earth are not limited to the giants. He was referring to the Dark Shura, wasn't he?" The crowd finally understood why the heavenly state couldn't offer support. Because they faced an existential crisis as well. Compared to both forces, the Dark Shura clan clearly had the upper hand. If not for Jang Fan's timely return from the ancient wilderness hunting ground and ending the war, it's uncertain who would have won in heavenly state. Great Wine Sacrifice's face slightly tensed. "Go, quickly support the heavenly state." Compassionate sage felt uneasy, but with several sages watching, he had to suppress his unease and join the group. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Jiang Fan returned to the hall with everyone. He sat at the pavilion master's seat. Su Yoren sat beside him. The rest stood along the sides of the hall. The transcendent status of divinity transformation venerable dictated he could no longer sit casually as before. He glanced at everyone, announcing with a smile, "Everyone, the war is over. We've survived the 1,000-year calamity." Though they had anticipated it, only Jiang Fan's personal announcement made them dare to believe. Some laughed heartily, others cried tears of joy, and some mourned for departed friends. The hall was a microcosm of all life's emotions. Jiang Fan felt deeply moved too. The victory of this battle was incredibly hard-won and tough, exhausting generation after generation's heritage, sacrificing one after another, burning one noble ideal after another. If the war happened again, could Central Earth still achieve victory? Jiang Fan believed they still would. So many charged forward selflessly. The victory of Central Earth seemed a matter of luck, but was truly inevitable. Taking a deep breath, he said loudly, "The deceased are gone. Those of us living should carry their hopes and live tomorrow well. Central Earth is in urgent need of rejuvenation. The mountains and rivers need rebuilding. All of you, please reinvigorate." He brought out the heavenly materials and earthly treasures from Yun Wangxiao's northern heavenly state, and resources exchanged from the small divine ring for nascent soul realm cultivation. They were top-level resources never seen before in Central Earth. "Everyone gets a portion. I hope it aids you." Everyone was astonished upon seeing them. So many nascent soul resources, regarded as tremendous opportunities in Central Earth. Even when divided, it's enough for nascent soul early stage to advance to nascent soul middle stage to late stage. In several months, having the heavenly mechanism pavilions per capita at late stage nascent soul isn't a dream. Additionally, Jiang Fan took out a man-sized chamber, covered in ancient and wondrous runes. Those who break through to nascent soul 8th layer can enter the chamber to perfect their Tao and increase the chances of awakening from madness. Fairy Yun Shang's beautiful eyes shone brightly. She was a 7 apertures demon emperor searching for her own Tao. This chamber came at the perfect time. Bai Luo was also overjoyed. She was an 8 apertures demon emperor and had found her Tao. But she felt it wasn't perfect, far from the stage of awakening to divinity transformation. If she had access to the chamber, she might follow Jiang Fan's path, skipping straight from 8 apertures to divinity transformation realm. However, breaking through to 9 orifice demon emperor posed a hurdle. Jiang Fan succeeded in entering the 9 apertures thanks to soul awakening divine nails. Besides, Jiang Fan opened his palm. 7 or 8 soul awakening divine nails lay casually within. Anyone breaking through 8 orifices nascent soul may collect a soul awakening divine nail from me. Soul awakening divine nails as well. Bai Luo's eyes widened. From nascent soul resources, to perfecting Tao, to soul awakening divine nails. It's practically a divine transformation process. You cannot say even a common pig could achieve divinity, but anyone not too mediocre in aptitude would have a chance to attain divinity transformation realm. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion's members were incredulous at their ears. Gu Xin'er widened her eyes. I also have the chance for divinity transformation. Wonderful. I've long determined my Tao." She glanced down at her chest, her eyes filled with hopeful anticipation. Jiang Fan looked over seriously. "You'd better choose another Tao. This Tao feels unreliable." How long did Gu Xin'er struggle to grow bigger? Was there any effect? Do you want to take the path of growing bigger, intending to be forever stuck in madness and never wake up? Gu Xin'er's face flushed and she stomped her feet in embarrassment. I just want it." Everyone burst into laughter. Liang Feiyan laughed heartily. "Gu, you'd better choose a more practical path. The path you chose is even harder than the path of perfection of the Starfear Venerable." Gu Xin'er glared at him in annoyance and snorted. "What are you laughing at? Have you possessed someone? You're just a wandering ghost." Liang Feiyan suddenly realized that he was still a soul. The smile froze on his face. Everyone started laughing again. Indeed, a smile doesn't disappear. It just gets transferred. The members of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion were excited, while those from the Fire Worship sect were so envious their eyes were about to pop out. "Sect Hierarch, quickly take the disciples away, otherwise they'll quit the Fire Worship sect and join the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion," an elder said anxiously. The Fire Worship sect leader's eyes were wide open. Forget the disciples, I want to join the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Who can resist a divinity transformation dragon? But Jiang Fan changed the topic again and said, eligible martial artists from the outer sect can also come to me to receive a soul-awakening divine nail. Priority will be based on the level of sacrifice of each sect in the Taikang state. Additionally, Taikang state and Hanuan state have equal priority, followed by Great Wilderness state, Dan state, and Divine Weapon state. Other states are lower priority. Even though there are many soul-awakening divine nails, they are not enough for everyone, so there must be prioritization. Everyone listened and had no objections. Hanuan state sacrificed a lot for this battle, so their disciples deserve special attention. Great Wilderness state, Dan state, and Divine Weapon state also assisted Taikang state and should be thanked. Once these are satisfied, any leftovers can be distributed to other states. Jiang Fan lightly patted Su Yoren's hand and said, Yoren, you will oversee resource allocation. Although her cultivation wasn't the highest, the title of Jiang Fan's wife was enough to lead the situation. My husband, go ahead with your tasks. Su Yoren was more than happy to help Jiang Fan with his work. Yun Shang, Xian, you also help. The three women took over the tasks, leaving Jiang Fan feeling relieved. When his gaze swept past Xia Keoj, his heart moved slightly and he said, Keoj, come with me. Xia Keoj was surprised. Okay, uncle, in a quiet garden. Xia Keoj looked around at the empty surroundings, her heart slightly racing, and she thought to herself, why did uncle invite me here? Jiang Fan didn't say much, taking out the crystal necklace that he got from Yun Wang Xiao. It had 9 holy crystals strung together with a white thread, making it a top-grade defensive spiritual artifact. Xia Keoj was stunned when she saw it. A divine blessing necklace? She felt a little perplexed. Isn't this unique to the Angel clan? Where did uncle get it? Okay, let's not talk about this for now. The divine blessing necklace has been personally blessed by the great angel who governs the love law, symbolizing perfect love. Often given by male angels to their beloved female angels as a proposal item, similar to the human clan's token of love. Why is uncle giving out a divine blessing necklace? Could it be given to her? Xia Keoj's heart began to race uncontrollably. Jang Fan smiled and said, you recognize it, I'm giving it to you. Xia Keoj was stunned, her face quickly turning red. Uncle, proposing to her. Her mind went blank, losing the ability to think. Jang Fan looked at the necklace, feeling puzzled. Was there something wrong? Why did Keoj look like this? Suddenly, Jang Fan realized something strange. Does the Angel clan lack defense? Not really. With the mysterious golden feathers, why would they need a top-grade defensive spiritual artifact? It's a bit redundant to specially craft a defensive spiritual artifact. He asked, perplexed. Keoj, what's the purpose of the divine blessing necklace? Keoj snapped back to reality, her eyes dodging in panic, her heart beating wildly, just about to explain. But she quickly realized that if she told him, it would show that she knew too much about the Angel clan. Her identity as part of the Angel clan might be exposed. So she swallowed her words and instead covered up nervously. How should I know? I just happened to see the image of the necklace in a book. Really? Jiang Fan furrowed his brows, feeling Keoj wasn't speaking truthfully, but it was no longer important. Whatever this necklace is for, Keoj can discover it on her own. I'm giving it to you? Xia Keoj stood there, bewildered and unsure whether to accept or refuse it. This was a proposal. She wasn't mentally prepared yet. Don't want it? Jiang Fan felt a bit speechless. Why did Keoj seem to resist the necklace? If you don't want it, I'll keep it. Seeing Jiang Fan was about to take it back, Xia Keoj hesitated fiercely in her heart, lightly biting her red lips, and said, I want it. Jiang Fan tossed it over and said, didn't you happily accept when I previously gave you things? Why are you so hesitant this time? Xia Keoj carefully caught the necklace with both hands, her fair face turning rosy. Secretly blaming herself, Keoj, oh Keoj, you previously told yourself not to accept things from uncle, but you wouldn't listen. Look what happened now. Accepting and accepting, you received a proposal necklace. Let's see what you do now. While she was internally chaotic, Jiang Fan said, why aren't you wearing it? Right now, just wear it. You. She stammered, trying to explain the significance of the necklace, but feared revealing her identity. Jiang Fan looked puzzled, genuinely unable to understand Xia Keoj today. She wasn't usually this shy, was she? He stood up and said, let me help you wear it. Xia Keoj was so startled she quickly stepped back, saying, wait, uncle, I'm not ready. Let me calm down for a moment. Jiang Fan was baffled. Why did it feel like he was confessing to someone just then? Suddenly, there was a spatial ripple from the direction of the underground palace. It was Yue Mingzhu, and they returned. Jiang Fan said, "K, Uncle needs to head out. You inform everyone for me." Xia Keoj nodded absent-mindedly, and by the time she regained her senses, Jiang Fan was gone. She held the divine blessing necklace, her snow-white cheeks gradually turning red. "Oh my gosh, I actually took Uncle's proposal necklace. If Uncle ever learns the necklace's significance, how could I ever face him?" Above the underground palace, Jang Fan teleported just in time to meet Yue Mingzhu, True Word Venerable, and the others emerging. Additionally, Red Sleeves, Jiang Wuya, Mingyi Usra King, Heart Demon Venerable, Pingshan Bodhisattva, Shubu Su, Ice and Fire Demon Lord also gathered. Jiang Fan frowned and said, "Why are you all here?" Red Sleeves fixed her gaze on Jiang Fan and said, "They're here to accompany you to Heavenly Heritage City. I'm here to ask you a question. What did you do to Green Pearl again?" She raised her jade-like fingers and slowly pointed to her forehead.